What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Didi Got a Podcast. I'm your host, Didi. Extremely happy to be here with you today. I usually apologize for being late. I'm not going to apologize this time because I do it enough. You all know I don't do it intentionally, but also I'm trying to make sure I have my ducks in a row. This will be one of my longer lives. In fact, I anticipate this being at least 2.5 hours. It will be well worth it. It will be well worth it. Let me start off this live by saying, if you are one of those individuals that believe that Charlie Kirk is deceased and that he was betrayed, you have very good reason to believe this. This video is not an attack on you. This video is not meant to discredit in no way, shape, or form your belief or anybody that has helped substantiate that belief. But over here, we go a little bit further with the critical thinking, and we like to use our common sense. All right. If you are one of those people that believe that Charlie Kirk is no longer alive and that Tyler Robinson took him out by his own lonesome from the rooftop of the Losey Center, I don't know what to tell you. You have the wrong channel. But maybe this is the video for you too, because this is going to be an extremely undeniable video. It's going to be overwhelming, quote unquote, evidence, and very many things to think about. All right. Please hit the like button on the way in. That goes a long way, a very long way. I would really appreciate it. And a channel like mine really needs it because I'm trying to fight against the shadow ban. I am under the belief that we have been presented a false dichotomy. I am going to repeat some things that I've said before, and I'm going to introduce some new quote unquote pieces of evidence and or things for you to think about. I believe that we have been presented a false dichotomy, much like politics, right? They give us the right versus the left. They give us Republicans versus Democrats so that you don't ever think outside of the box. You just think that, oh, I've always been on this side. The other side must be the right side. Now that I've finally realized that this side is corrupted. When you have TPUSA and its affiliates, the newest member being Andrew Wilson, which I have to make an entirely different video on that guy. And it has to be alive because I want to go extensively. I've been trying to do some research on his history and when he showed up on the scene. It's kind of difficult to do so. It's not a lot of stuff I can find on Andrew Wilson, but I'm working on it. We're working on it. But it's much like politics. If you have TPUSA and its affiliates arguing that Charlie Kirk was taken out by Tyler Robinson, and then you have everybody else who believes that that Charlie Kirk was taken out, but he was set up, then that's what people focus on. But no one questions other options. Those are not the only two options of what happened that day. And the weirdest thing about it, and we'll get into this later, is that at least TPUSA could argue that they've seen the body, which again, we'll get to that later. Everybody else arguing that Charlie Kirk was set up and betrayed. Once again, you have good reason to believe so. Many of my videos have led you to believe that. But as I've said before, my videos could also be the meaning of another result. At least TPUSA can say they've seen the body. Can anybody argue that Charlie Kirk was betrayed? Can they say the same? Which is kind of infuriating and confusing. Confusing if you don't understand what could be really happening with this case. Why no one on the other side, that being the opposite of TPUSA, is fully entertaining that theory? Why? Why? One of the bigger questions that people are going to ask, and they have asked this before, why would Charlie do this? If you watch Charlie's debates, you give credit where it's due. He was incredibly respectful. He truly came off as if he wanted people to understand his perspective. I was just watching the clip the other day of him debating quote unquote leftists on why they were arguing that all guns should be taken away. He was like, okay, so there's 380 million guns in the country. How do you get those guns? How do you retrieve them? They're like, no, we're just going to do background checks on everybody. And he's like, no. How do you retrieve the ones that are already out there? If you say that, do we get rid of the Second Amendment? The way he dismantled it in such a respectful manner, I totally understand why a person will struggle to believe, why would Charlie Kirk, after he carried himself and spoke about Jesus Christ the way that he did, why would he agree to do something like this? I have to give a shout out to Gina. Don't know if she'll be able to make this live. The best thing I'm willing to entertain outside of Charlie Kirk faking it is that maybe Charlie Kirk agreed to fake it and they actually followed through and did something. And maybe that'll explain some other things that we're going to go through in this video. But outside of that, the Charlie Kirk was betrayed and he's deceased solely after just being betrayed by his friends and family and loved ones. After this video, you're going to have a very hard time making that argument. This is one of those videos. It's very important that you watch it all the way through because everything I show you today will be connected. Any and every time I reference something that I did not find myself, I will try my very best to give credit to its original author and or content creator. All right. Or journalist. Right. But for those that may be asking the question, why would Charlie Kirk agree to something like this? One of the questions that I had, or one of the speculations I could make, is that the result of presenting a false dichotomy, that means no matter what, we believe that Charlie Kirk is no longer alive, it's just a matter of if he was betrayed or if he was in on it. Instead of actually presenting us other options. I don't agree with the Nation of Islam as far as their faith. They have a lot of great principles. But Minister Louis Farrakhan made a great point. He said Republicans and Democrats will go back and forth all day long. But when Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu comes over, everybody is in agreement. Everybody. That's the one thing they seem to agree on. Could it be because they're being funded by the same party? I mean, both parties are being funded by the same monster, the same master. Could that be why? Which will further explain why someone like what's his name? Ben Shapiro, another Benjamin. Ben Shapiro had a visceral reaction to the Tucker Carlson, Thomas Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Joe Kent gathering and potentially entertaining a third party. Gave you my suspicions about that whole ordeal. But he's upset about it. Why would he be so upset? Somebody like a Ben Shapiro upset about a third party. Could it be because the two parties are funded by the same master? What if that's happening here with the Charlie Kirk case? What if the biggest goal here is to just, quote unquote, lead to more anti-Semitism? Believe that they took out Charlie, run with the narrative, and the result of this is going to cause more people to be more skeptical of that one foreign nation and will cause them to lie like anti-Semitism continues to be on the rise so that they can fulfill, which is one of the tenets of the greater you-know-where project, the greater blank project. The name of the country I'm not going to say on here, all right? What if that is one of the results of what's happened on September the 10th? Okay? A lot of you all were telling me last night, Didi, please go live tonight. Sunday nights are the best. We're with our families. We're preparing for the week. It's a lot better than going live early on a Monday morning. I would agree with you, but I was actually busy. I was on a movie date with my fiance, and we went to see the new Spider-Man film. I am not going to give any spoilers away. What I will say is my favorite Spider-Man, just for the record, is Tobey. The best one, for sure. Tom Holland has grown on me. I like him. This is one of the best Spider-Man movies I've ever seen, including the Tobey Maguire ones. It's that good. But you all also know that I have a different set of eyes when I watch these things. As I state, everything I mentioned in this video will be tied to the Charlie Kirk thing. It's related. I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but one of the newest heroes, what I was told prior, is that a new hero will be introduced in this film that is one of the most inconsequential, powerful superheroes ever presented in Marvel. And I'm like, what? That's a crazy thing to say. Yeah, he wasn't lying. That's exactly what it was. But would you like to know one of the stipulations of this new hero's superpowers? Again, I'm not going to give any spoilers away. But in order for their powers to be activated, the victim of their power has to be within a certain foot radius of this person. Would you all like to know the distance? What's the distance? They have to be within 33, either 33 feet or 33 inches. I believe it's 33 feet in order for this superhero's powers to be activated. 33 meters, I guess. Let me turn the chat on. Insane. Insane. Just keep that in mind. Because many of you all are going to say, but so much evidence has been presented. What about this person? What about that person who has presented this amount of evidence and said that they had this reason to do it, and this is what they lied about? Very compelling. I don't mean that as a backhanded compliment. I don't mean that sarcastically. I've been following it as well. I agree that it's very compelling. It's like television. It's like your new favorite television show. You see new evidence, something else presented that you didn't know, and it's hard to deny it. I want to show you all a clip from my favorite YouTuber, content creator, journalist of all time. He is one of the biggest inspirations. He is the biggest inspiration as to why I do my content the way that I do it. He is going to be covering Charlamagne the God. This is very important before we get into Charlie. This is a video that he did 7 years ago. Charlamagne the God, if you don't know, is a radio host based out of New York City for a radio show called The Breakfast Club. Many of you all will be familiar with him. If you are not, then here's a little snippet of Chronicles of Judah. Shout out to Chronicles of Judah. Talking a little bit about Charlamagne the God. The name of the video is called Charlamagne the God or Charlamagne the Devil. That can also be found linked in the description as well. He's talking a little bit about hand signs and photos and who Charlamagne the God is and what he stands for and ways that you can investigate it. Let's watch this snippet together. And once you hear it in the video, you'll understand why it's relevant to today's video.
Have the statement or the slogan that a picture speaks 1,000 words. How Charlamagne is posing here is meant to convey that he's quote unquote on the square. Okay, but let's prove that. Let's prove that. Some of you brothers out there might know who this is. This person's name was Jiddu Krishnamurti. He was a very transformative philosophical figure in the early 20th century. He also was one of the main inspirations of one Mr. Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee was a huge fan of Jiddu Krishnamurti. Bruce Lee was also an asset, but that's a whole other video for another day. The point being is this: Jiddu Krishnamurti sprang out of the Theosophical movement. For those of you who don't know, Theosophy was basically the 19th century study by many prominent Caucasians, especially of European extraction. It was their intense study of the quote-unquote Oriental or Eastern religions.
Like Aleister Crowley, who spearheaded it. We've discussed this several times over the past couple of years.
They were trying to get an understanding of what the original religion was actually about. And that was the inspiration for what we have today. All the Wicca and the Illuminism, the Luciferianism, the modern aspect of it, at least from a religious standpoint. The point being is this: Jiddu Krishnamurti, he was basically raised by the Theosophists to believe that he was going to be a modern day Christ. He was like another incarnation of the Buddha. He was the person who was going to bring together all the world's understandings of quote unquote religion or quote unquote God. He decided to depart from the group. But as we can see here by this stance, he was a Luciferian, of course, because he was a Theosophist. They're all Luciferian. As a matter of fact, the vast majority of people on the planet Earth today are Luciferians. It's just that they're at various stages of understanding. He happened to be at a very high stage of understanding. And when we look at the stance, he's doing the same stance as Charlamagne the God. And the light behind him is in the shape of an egg or of a seed. Why is that? It's because he's meant to personify the seed, the son of the mother goddess. He's meant to personify Heru. Once again, they were trying to push him to accept his quote-unquote fate as being the modern-day Buddha, but he rejected that. I just wanted to show this photo here to show you or convey that the stance that Charlamagne was doing in the photo was not happenstance. He was trying to show you that he's quote-unquote on the square. or he's part of the overall game plan. So now, brothers, this person right here participated in a genocide in Rwanda. And let me say this, and I probably mentioned this in other videos. Many of the so-called quote-unquote revolutionaries or rabble-rousers are just meant to represent quote-unquote controlled opposition. They create the chaos so that a new order can be brought in, and you can get the masses to accept it if they think that there's some type of conflict that is being resolved.
I love him so much, bro. This is 7 years ago, almost 8 years ago. I'm going to rewind that and we're going to listen again. I'm not saying any names. I'm just encouraging you to think for yourself before we get into all these things about Charlie Kirk the day of. Since that point, we're going to get into all of it. Some of the newest things that have come out that I'm seeing some cognitive dissonance from people. Let's run that back. What did Chronicles of Judah just say? Let's listen again.
Right here, participated in a genocide in Rwanda. And let me say this, and I probably mentioned this in other videos. Many of the so-called quote-unquote revolutionaries or rabble-rousers are just meant to represent quote-unquote controlled opposition. They create the chaos so that a new order can be brought in.
They create the chaos so that the new order can be brought in.
You can get the masses to accept it if they think that there's some type of conflict that is being resolved.
You can get the masses to accept it if they believe that the conflict is being resolved. Does that sound familiar to anybody? But we're not done.
But let's read this blurb here under the photo. This man in 1994 participated in the brutal genocidal massacre of 3,000 Tutsi tribespeople who sought refuge in a church in Rwanda, Africa. In this news article, he says he is repentant and is rehabilitated. The cultic positioning of his arms and clenched fists say otherwise. Of course, in other words, he's a provocateur. He's an assigned agent of discord or chaos.
Did you hear that? Apply to who's necessary. If the shoe fits, wear it.
That's his role, to keep the conflict going. Once again, when you're turning your
Did you hear that too?
television and you see this side against that side when it comes to foreign politics or foreign endeavors like civil wars, etc. For the most part, both sides are funded by the same umbrella entity. Okay? It's all Masonic, it's all Luciferian, or for the most part it is. Okay, so now brothers, let's check out this photo right here. It says Charlamagne the God goes inside the cave. This is purely Saturnian. Why do I say that? We see that he's dressed in the all black. He's a witch. He's a Luciferian. Also, all black is the color of Saturn, or the color for Saturn, especially in the entertainment industry. I get a lot of people who come on my channel. I like to dress in all black. In the entertainment industry, you're not in the sports world. You're laying at home on your mother's couch. So no, you dressing in all black does not make you a Luciferian. But when I see people in the entertainment industry that are doing so, especially with certain color schemes, that's how you know that that's what they're telling you. And as we can see in the title here, it says inside the cave. Inside is in blue, cave is in red. Red versus blue. It is a Saturnian principle. The twin pillars of Boaz and Yakin. You go in between those two pillars and you enter into the portal to the next world. You bring together those two colors, the red and the blue, and you have the color of royalty, that being purple. So you're always going to see the battle between the blue and the red, whether it's the Republicans versus the Democrats, the Crips versus the Bloods, one fighter in the red corner, the other fighter in the blue corner. You see that theme over and over and over again. Why is that? Because they're playing out ancient rituals. But once again, that is one of the main concepts of Saturnianism, is the blue and the red. Charlamagne goes inside the cave.
Let's run that back.
Did that make me a Luciferian? With certain color schemes, that's how you know that that's what they're telling you. And as we can see in the title here, it says inside the cave. Inside is in blue, cave is in red. Red versus blue. It is a Saturnian principle. The twin pillars of Boaz and Yakin.
The twin pillars of Boaz and Hakim. Now, for those of you that don't know, that is a Freemasonic term. All right, let's get this banner off of here. Boaz and Yakin, as you can see here. One side is the darkness, one side is the light. North, south, evil, good, left, right. Democrats, Republicans, right? Moon, sun. That's also why they even call it left and right. Why do you call Democrats left? Why do you call Republicans right? Moon, sun, water, earth versus the fire, sky, right? Female, male, queen, king, receptive, active, earth, heaven, womb, phallus, restriction, flow, justice, and mercy. This is all Freemasonic in nature. This will be relevant. As we've already discussed months ago, like late last year, Charlie Kirk's bizarre views on Freemasonry, pretended that he didn't know what it was. As brilliant as Charlie was, how don't you know what Freemasonry is? Of course you know. You know that many of the founders of this country were Freemasons. You know that, Charlie. How's that the one thing you don't know? All right. The red and the blue. Chronicles of Judah mentioned the red and the blue, which reminded me once again of our good old buddy here. Many of the superheroes early on wore red and blue. You got Spider-Man, some of the biggest ones. Superman, which, by the way, I believe that S on his chest stands for Saturn. But I have to do a video at some point in time dedicated to our heroes and why it is that they wore red and blue, which we've already, Chronicles of Judah sort of summed it up in short. It's all Luciferianism. All right. Doctor Strange is no different. Once again, you see the red and the blue concept because it's all witchcraft. All right. They want you to think that it's super unique. It's not. Look at the hand sign that he's doing here with this hand, with this right hand there. You see it? Of course you see it. And we also know that Spider-Man does this to shoot out webs. You see it? We think nothing of it because the movies are so great. Of course, it's coming out of his wrist. How else is he going to shoot it out? He has to do the same sign. We'll explain why Doctor Strange does the same thing. I don't know, man. I think we've seen this before, this hand sign before, but I think I'm getting ahead of myself. Maybe Spider-Man just meant I love you whenever he shoots those. All right. So, something else I want to show you all. And this would be the first clip. Let's see here. We're going to take our time with this one, but it's worth it. It's worth it. Just bear with me. It's worth it. This is Jason Whitlock on TMZ when they were alleging that some updates about Tyler Robinson early on in the investigation. I just thought this exchange was super interesting, being that who runs TMZ, who runs media, and how this exchange took place. And this bothered me because I had never seen this before. Harvey was a little bit too comfortable to just state this openly, knowing that majority of the country are followers of Christ or identify as Christians, so to speak.
Demonic.
Bad Bunny's music is demonic, like most commercial rap music is demonic. It promotes things antithetical to Jesus Christ.
That's not even a debate. That's not even a debate.
That's demonic. This guy is a Latin
but wait a minute.
rap
Let me ask you something. I don't believe in Jesus Christ, okay?
I got that.
I'm Jewish.
I'm aware.
I am Jewish. And are you saying that every Jew is, by definition, then demonic?
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
I'm talking about music, Harvey.
I think you made your point. You and I definitely live in different worlds, Jason. You know, and more power to you.
You live in Los Angeles.
More power to you, but I ain't going into your world if I can help it. I got to say.
Look out for the chairs flying off the rooftops there in Nashville.
And Harvey, I want to enter into a world where Jesus Christ reigns. So yeah, we got different points of views on this.
We do indeed, and I don't say that with any embarrassment, Jason.
You can only come on television speaking that calmly and that boldly against Jesus Christ that way on national media that way when you know that you're protected or you're in a position to do the punishment or to give out the punishment. Allegedly, right? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm extremely excited for today's video. Almost as excited as I was in my last video to discuss something that many people didn't tune in for because I haven't generated this channel around hair weave, but we discussed hair weave and I had on some guests of women. If you are interested in those sorts of titles and debate topics, then I'll try to remember to link it in the description. I forgot to do it, but it's also my last live video if you want to check it out. I also just dropped a shorts video earlier today from part of that debate. It was a very heated but respectful debate regarding hair weave. Why am I mentioning that at the beginning of this video? because there was something very interesting that was mentioned in the comment section just moments ago. Somebody said, well, I think wearing hair weave has been normalized, much like tipping culture. Tipping people. I've been a great tipper for years. And part of the reason is because I worked in the service industry and I understood that certain communities, like the black community, have a really bad reputation, and there's a stereotype that we don't tip well. I shouldn't say stereotype. We don't tip very well, and I didn't want to fit that stereotype. And so I've always been great at tipping, probably a little bit too giving. And that's been like 7-8 years in a running. And I realized that I've been brainwashed into that because the idea of tipping is crazy. It is not the customer's job to give somebody working at a company. It's not our job to pay them to work for a company. It's the company's job to do that. But we've been brainwashed into believing that if a person is serving us, which is literally their job to do, we should also give them our money. If we choose to, then so be it. But we've made that normalized, and you are bashed if you don't do a good enough job at it. It's kind of like the stereotype of fried chicken and watermelon. There's literally nothing wrong with eating fried chicken. There's nothing wrong with watermelon. It's a great fruit. It's a great food, right? It's healthy for you, but it's a stereotype and considered a black person's thing to eat it. Fried chicken is the story behind fried chicken. Before I get into today's video, yes, this is relevant, people. I'm not just ranting. The story behind fried chicken is that it was illegal at one point in time for so-called black Americans to make money from certain types of food. But chicken was allowed for black Americans to make money off of chicken because it was considered a low economic value type of food, that being chicken. It was cheap, it was easy to get, it was everywhere. That is until black American women discovered something and invented something called frying. And they began frying the chicken, and it was revolutionary, and it changed everything, and they started selling chicken alongside trains, and they became very wealthy off of it. So those that are in the ruling class had to come up with a stereotype to sort of downplay their business so that they can then profit off of it, but hurt the black American women's businesses at the time. That is where you get the stereotype of fried chicken. Black people love fried chicken when everybody loves fried chicken. All right. I wanted to share that because the things that we've normalized in this society, I want people to think for themselves. That's going to be a running theme in today's video. Think for yourself. All right. Let's get into the first clip. There was apparently no ambulance that day for Charlie Kirk. Let's talk about that a little bit.
It's on standby.
Very few.
The audio, I did not know was going to be this low. There's not much I can do about it, you all. I do apologize. Listen as best you can. And there are also captions at the very bottom.
Ambulance on standby.
Very few.
The events that you did outdoors that were similar to this, what percentage would you say you had a ambulance on standby?
Very few. Very few. You know, again, you have to look at the rules of emergency medicine also. And the rules are they're not going to give aid unless the scene's safe.
Right.
And in the paramedics that were at UVU, they took off and took cover just like everybody else.
Lies. They're right there. I'm going to just pause it there because I'm afraid they're going to show something inappropriate and then they're going to just flag this entire video. Brian Harpole is a liar. Now, many of you all already believe that he's a liar. Allegedly, everything I say in this live is alleged. Many of you all already believe that he's a liar. You say, well, yeah, because they set him up. Once again, by the end of this live, there's going to be a lot of people you're going to have to explain something about for me to understand that it was just a setup. Because again, I think something else is going on from that day. Here's a bigger question, and I can't take credit for it. I don't remember the person. It wasn't a YouTuber. It was somebody on Twitter that said something, and I was like, that's a great point, and I never considered this. It's one thing to refuse the medics, which we know they denied the medics. Why did you not allow them to ride in the SUV on the way to the hospital? I never thought about that. Oh, we were rushing to get Charlie to the hospital. Got you. Heard you the first time. Why did you not have at least one medic in the vehicle with you? What many of you all are going to say that are of the crowd that he was set up, that me and Charlie, you're going to say, well, it's because they didn't want the medics to see what had actually happened to Charlie. Hence the shrapnels or the pieces of glass in the bottom of the SUV. Okay, you have good reason to believe that. Here's my theory. And I believe I'm going to do a great job of substantiating this theory extensively by the end of this live. I believe that the reason they didn't allow medics to ride in the vehicle was because they didn't want to see that anything happened to Charlie. Those medics look confused. They look like they were there for nothing. Like, okay, I guess you don't need my services. That's what I believe. Not because they didn't want to, like, how do you know that? How do you know? You can threaten those people and tell them not to say what they really saw. You didn't want them to see that there was nothing wrong with Charlie, allegedly. Okay? That's a great question. Why did you not allow the medics to ride to the hospital? Which leads me to another point. The hospital. Let's talk about the hospital. All right, let's talk a little bit about the hospital. Because here is the casket video that we're all familiar with.
Oh, I love you. I love you. I love you. I know. I love you. I love you. God bless you.
You know what they never show in this footage? They never show Charlie's face. Now, maybe this has been explained and I may have missed it. And I don't mean that sarcastically. I genuinely mean maybe this has been explained. Y'all know I don't watch too many other people. So maybe this has been explained. Why would they not show Charlie's face here? Now, again, those of you that believe Charlie was set up, you may say, well, they just wanted to protect him. No, remember, the theory or the narrative that's being pushed right now, that's the word narrative, coming from TPUSA and its affiliates, is that the 30-06 did not pow Charlie Kirk, even though most of us is like, what? How is that possible? And then we hear the other side say, bullets do weird things. It never performs or behaves the same way. You can't. So no matter how many times you go out into the field and you have these Green Berets try to reenact what may have happened, something different is going to happen most times. Well, yeah, different things are going to happen. But what's not in question? It's going to destroy its target. It's shooting straight through two pieces of thick metal from hundreds of yards away. How is this possible? The point that I'm getting at here is, if it was so clean and the bullet stayed within inside of this man, then it shouldn't be that graphic for us to see, especially after the fact. Speaking of after the fact, the timeline of this is even more strange. Let's just get to it. Let's talk about the timeline a little bit.
Realize that we still don't know where Charlie Kirk is buried, right? And
there's another thing. We don't know where he's buried. Why? Because they believe that some of us out here may be so radical that we just need to know if that man actually passed away, that they just wouldn't tell people, including the people closest, that was the closest to Charlie. We don't know where his body is. Now, again, the other side are going to say, well, it's because they don't want us to examine the body. That's what this gentleman is going to say as well. They know if we get to examine the body, what the average person not going to get to examine the body and be able to tell. So why is it truly that we don't know where this body is? Well, what's the real reason?
looking back on this video of Erica Kirk crying over Charlie's body, something felt weird about it, and not for the obvious reasons. Like, it should have been a private moment, yes, not a public moment, but that's not what bothered me, and I couldn't quite figure it out until I started looking at the dates. Charlie was assassinated on September 10th, and this video was posted by Erica just 2 days later on the 12th. The highest profile political assassination since JFK, and he's in a casket ready to be buried 2 days later.
Allegedly.
Is that even enough time to do a thorough autopsy investigation?
Bingo.
investigation and bombing, preparation of the body, and flying the body back to Arizona.
Bingo.
The body couldn't have been in the state's evidence longer than 24 hours, which
Bingo.
is really crazy when you think about it. Definitely when it was just announced publicly that the state suspect Tyler Robinson was put into custody that exact same day of the 12th. The manhunt lasted for 33 hours. That's suspect. 33 hours. On top of that, we don't even know where Charlie is buried, and the excuse is vandalism, but that's not the full reason. They really don't want his body being exhumed because the body holds the key for disproving the Tyler Robinson narrative of the 30-06 gunshot.
Allegedly. Which, shout out to Brian the auditor, he made a great point. What is it with these 30-06? The same thing happened with MLK as well. Is there something about that 3 and that 6 number that they want us to just be ingrained in our brains? More to come on that as well in today's live. A 30-06, 3 and a 6. Interesting.
It would still have bomb residue all over him that could be detected in his hair, so they aren't going to reveal the location of his burial until the Tyler Robinson trial is over and done with.
Here's a very important question. He just raised some great points, all from the perspective that he believes Charlie was set up. I'm asking all the same questions because I suspect a different outcome. Why would something like this be filmed? Is it all right for me to ask that question? Let's go on a journey in today's live. That's what I want to do. I want to go on a journey. Can we do that? Why was this recorded? It's the same reason I'm asking about Erica. Recording the whole Charlie, and apparently she was mic'd up in that footage to make sure that you heard her. More to come on Erica in today's live too. Why would you record something like this? Like, let me just put the chat up here because somebody's going to be able to answer this for me. Why would you record this video? Are you trying to convince somebody of something? Same thing with Erica crying over this thing that supposedly is Charlie Kirk. This mannequin, this person that's supposedly Charlie Kirk. But they don't ever show the face. Why would you record this? What does this serve? What does this serve? Another question. Remember, supposedly an entire section of the hospital was shut down 2 hours before. So we have footage of them in the parking lot, that being Blakey Neff and Mikey McCoy and the crew showing up to the hospital. Okay, cool. Y'all were physically there. Why do we not have any footage from the hospital? It's because here's the first time I will give some considerable amount of pushback to those that believe that Charlie Kirk was set up. If you are arguing that Charlie was set up, what would need to have been hidden at the hospital? Like, what are the possibilities? And I don't mean that in a condescending tone. I genuinely mean, what could it have been? Like, what are the possibilities? The realm of possibilities. What are you hiding at the hospital? Do you want us to see that it's not what we were told it was? Not from the sense of setting them up. Just all together. Did Charlie Kirk ever go to the hospital? Let's start there. Because you know that hospitals have cameras all over the place. That's what I want to see. So we have no physical body. We don't know where he's buried. And there's no footage from the hospital. Why do we believe that he was taken out? Other than we just don't think that it was in Charlie's character to do so. I didn't know Charlie Kirk. I already told you all with some of these people, I'm not so sure that some of these people are human, but that's a conversation for another day. I'm not going to give people an easy out to say I'm just this big conspiracy theorist. Nah, I'm not going to give you an easy out. So I'm going to leave that alone. Why would something like this be recorded? What are you trying to showcase here? It seems to me that there's something you want people to believe. How did this happen so fast? Oh, they're trying to hurry up and everybody was paid off. Okay. Keep that in mind. Everybody was paid off and everybody was in on setting up Charlie. Keep that in mind. So this you are already familiar with, but we're going to just revisit because we have to paint a full picture in today's episode. Let's first talk about or be reminded about Mikey McCoy's behavior that day. YouTube, I have already edited this video. Nothing gruesome, nothing graphic will be shown. Please do not flag this video.
Way I can start to get my mind to figure out where they were arrested.
Something you're going to notice with Mikey McCoy, Frank Turek, and the like, and a couple of others as well, is that it just seemed that they were documenting every other angle of today as if it was a bit different from all the other events Charlie has ever done. Charlie's been to what? Hundreds of these. What was so special about today? You said, well, because they set him up. I keep telling you, Charlie was alive, well aware at this time. He knew that everybody was filming. He didn't find that strange. Why is everybody filming more than usual? Not to say that they didn't film at any point at any of the other events. This was a bit different. I have a theory. Everything I say in this video is alleged, just my theory. We're going to get to Frank Turek's phone. We're going to get to Mikey McCoy's phone. Because I have two videos to show you with Mikey McCoy. This one and then a second one. After I show you the second one of Mikey McCoy that I just learned today, we're going to learn a little bit about what I think they were really recording for. And I don't think it was to set up Charlie Kirk.
Wow, look at that.
Beautiful.
Look at that. Just give him a little taste.
Shout out to Sam Parker. So Mikey's already recording Charlie and the event hasn't even fully started yet. Is this important to film every bit of Charlie? Got it. Like, huh? This was a multi-million-dollar company. The best footage they got are cell phones. No. Why is it so important to film Charlie throwing hats? And you said, well, for his own personal social media. Okay, sure. This is not Charlie's first rodeo. This is the chief of staff we're talking about. All right. It's rodeo time, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mikey standing there. We all know this. I don't want to bore you with everything we've been over 1,000 times already, but this is important. So remember this, Mikey is on his phone. We're about to find out in just a moment what Mikey was really doing on his phone. He was watching Charlie, but not the way that you all thought he was. Maybe some of you all are already aware, but for those of you that are not, you'll find out today what he was doing on his phone. It's about to happen. Wait for it. Still filming, texting, talking. Well, we're about to find out. Hunter Kozak, the other crisis actor that was there on that day. We've already been over him. We don't have to waste our time on Hunter. He was in on it as well. Allegedly. So it just happened. Once again, YouTube, nothing graphic has been shown here. And as we know, Charlie wasn't even halfway down. Mikey had already turned around. Again, we've already been over this 1,000 times, but it's important that we reiterate this so that everything that I'm about to present in today's video will come together like peanut butter and jelly. And we all like peanut butter and jelly. All right? Mikey McCoy is already back there, quote unquote, on his phone, even though we know he wasn't on the phone. How do we know he wasn't on the phone? He reappears, casually walking away, okay? No rushing and panic, has no idea what's going on with Charlie. Oh, he knows. Allegedly. There's Mikey way in the back. There's Charlie. Okay? And I'm only going to let the last part play since I played this clip. I'm going to let Sam say something here at the end, and then we'll get into this other clip, close-up of Mikey. Mikey has literally turned his back on Charlie since the instant he was unalived. He has no idea what's happening to Charlie, and he apparently couldn't be less interested. Oh, he's interested. He's just playing his role. You know what I realized before we get to this second clip about Mikey? He reminds me of a good friend of mine. She's horrible at acting. We've given surprise birthday parties before, and Mikey literally reminds me of her. God bless her soul. She's a sweet person, but she's not a great actor. Oh, she's a god-awful actor. And if her job is whatever her role is in trying to make sure the birthday person doesn't find out that we're about to surprise them with a birthday party, make sure she has the least, the bare minimum role to play. Because if you leave her to do too much, she's going to give it away in her face. She does not know how to act properly. She doesn't know how to lie properly. It's just not in her. So make sure her role is simply to go grab the napkins or to go open the door and turn around and walk off and pretend like they don't know what's going on. Because if you have them to do anything more than that, they're going to give it away, especially if there are cameras around. You catch my drift? Mikey behaves just like her. And in the best way possible, to my friend. Behaves just like her. They're just not a great actor. So you got to know the strengths and weaknesses of certain people. Mikey is walking off because Mikey would have given it away.
Mikey McCoy, Charlie's chief of staff and friend, who spent the whole morning dutifully and loyally by Charlie's side, filming everything, abandoned Charlie in the very instant Charlie was killed. Was Charlie actually dead? Did he need help?
That's an actual great question, except he meant it simply from the perspective of, did Mikey McCoy know if Charlie Kirk had survived or not? But that hits a little bit different in this video. Was Charlie unalived?
Did Mikey rush to his aid or get his phone camera out? Anything? No, nothing.
Right.
All of a sudden, Mikey McCoy didn't care about Charlie Kirk at all.
Does that sit right with anybody? Does that make sense to anybody? As much as we want to hate or dislike these people, does it make sense to you? And that's before we get to some other people. Does it make sense to you that all of a sudden he don't care about Charlie? Mikey McCoy is so upset because he left the pro-Israel cause too? Mikey upset with Charlie too, even though he looked up to Charlie? Is that what we're arguing here? And I mean this respectfully. You know, like I know, that alone, something's missing here. Mikey McCoy just set them up because what he's doing with what his overlords told him to do. Really? Really? And he's going to handle it this well? Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind.
And just left him behind. What is going on?
I'll tell you. I'll tell you what's going on. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me 1 sec. Let me get some of these removed before we trying to be as efficient as possible. I think I'm doing a halfway decent job so far. Let's get to this second clip of Mr. Mikey McCoy. Where are we at? Is this it? Let's see. There we go. There we go. Let's get this pulled up. I can't take credit for this either. Shout out to this content creator, Lindsay _LOO. Go show them some love. So let's get this pulled up. And it says Mikey McCoy caught red-handed viewing drone footage while pretending to film Charlie. Let's take a look. Make sure that you all can see it pretty good on your end, and you can. Let's take a look at this.
We're going to be here for a couple hours.
Charlie is here on the screen. As you can see at the very middle or bottom of you can see that's a tent up top. He's looking at drone footage. Reflection fades and outline of Charlie's tent can be seen. Now, why would Mikey McCoy allegedly, just to be respectful and careful here, everything I say in this video is alleged. This is all for entertainment purposes. None of this is real. Why would Mikey McCoy be looking at drone footage? Once again, you're going to say because they set up Charlie. There's the tent. There's the tent. So clearly we know he's looking at drone footage. Okay. So now that that's been presented, let me tell you what my theory is. I'm not saying this is true. I'm not saying this is fact. Not even just for protection purposes. I'm genuinely saying also I don't know if this is true. This is just what I'm thinking. You all, as always, as I encourage you, hop in the comment section. Let me know what you think. I believe what they were doing, and I'm about to show this from Frank Turek's phone as well. I believe they were filming Charlie from different perspectives so that whenever they released the footage of what we would eventually see as quote-unquote Charlie being taken out, they would know what they needed to fix, if anything. That's what I believe happened. I believe they were looking at different angles to see where people were, if everything looked right, so that when everything went down, whenever the footage because remember, apparently most people in the crowd wasn't able to film. That's why we haven't seen very many students' phones. Why can't they see the footage? If you want to display Charlie Kirk being unalived in front of the masses on purpose, then why not let other people's phones see it too? Oh, because they'll see that something else. No, we have footage of what happened to him, right? What does somebody standing in the crowd, especially further away, how could their footage hurt what true, like, so in other words, if you're saying he got pow-powed in the neck, but really it was an explosion that went off. We're going to talk about that in a moment. But really it was an explosion that went off. What does them filming, how would that prove otherwise? You say, well, because they did some manipulation to the footage. I agree with you. I just come to a different conclusion than you do. I believe they did some manipulation to the footage. But I'm getting ahead of myself. We're going to get there. Let's go to Mr. Frank Turek. Let's just put all these things together cohesively. Is this Mr. Frank Turek? It says, this is great work, Jonathan. We can, let me zoom in. This is great work, Jonathan. We can clearly see that Yankin Bank Frank was not FaceTiming. How old was his son? Okay. Just another coincidence. Nothing to see here, people. His 33-year-old son, he was videotaping Charlie's murder. Allegedly. Those darn screens. Let's get a little closer here. He's supposedly on FaceTime. Where's the person at? We're seeing reflections. Where's the person? He's not FaceTiming anybody. I'm going to just let it play. What's going on here, people? That's clearly not a video call with anybody, let alone his son. Look at this. All right. Sam Parker says he wasn't recording because his phone wasn't pointed at Dan Flood's wrist. Excuse me, when Dan Flood's wrist was captured on Frank's phone screen. I've covered this extensively. Says here, Dan Flood's arm and bracelet are definitively visible on Frank Turk's phone screen right before Charlie is unalived, allegedly. Frank was behind Dan, so it can't be a reflection. Frank's phone was not pointed at Dan Flood, so it's not direct video recording by Frank's phone. The orientation of Dan Flood's arm and bracelet on the phone screen is backwards from Frank's perspective, again suggesting it's not directly filming. The only explanation I'm aware of is that Frank was streaming a video feed from a different source and angle. I think it was most likely from a drone, but I'm open to other theories. Once again, shout out to Sam Parker. Bro, this was way back. Look at the shape of that. That looks like those things in Judaism, but we'll get there. This was way back in December. Way back in December. All right. This is not an accusation of guilt or wrongdoing by Frank. Watching a separate video feed isn't a crime, except when he never admits to doing it. Then it becomes even more suspicious. Now that we know that Mikey McCoy was also doing the same thing, why would they be doing that? Once again, I believe it's to make sure that everything was in its place so that whenever the footage goes out to the masses, they have all their ducks in a row. Not because Charlie was set up, but to make sure whatever they needed to do to that video was in line with what the drone footage was showing. And and it says here, I'm not alleging he committed one, but since he claimed to be FaceTiming, which doesn't appear to be the case, I think it needs to be explained. Weird. Okay. Now, let's go to our next individual, Mr. Terrell Farnsworth. I think this one, let's see here. Terrell Farnsworth. So here's the first footage. That we've seen a gazillion times. Let's run that back. So as we all know, his behavior is extremely suspicious. He's taken an SD card, but leaving a $5,000 camera behind. Yeah, that makes no sense. So let's get a little bit deeper into why I'm sharing this. So Terrell Farnsworth here. All eyes are on him. Let's watch a little bit of Terrell Farnsworth.
I just
Awesome. Let's go keep going.
Yeah. What I was going to ask is, my question to you, or my claim, is that
I just realized I muted myself. That's so funny. But what I was saying was, I've already shown the footage of Terrell Farnsworth looking directly at Hunter Kozak. We're not going to play the footage here. We're not even going to play half of this footage. I just want you all to hear what Charlie's about to say here. Terrell Farnsworth seems to be on a mission because, remember, not my words, Candace Owens said that she believes or she knew for a fact that these people are not normally on the scene. Why bring extra people who are not normally on the scene for Charlie Kirk Campy's events? Why bring more people? That's just increasing the chances of somebody squilling or telling or giving into the pressure. When you bring more people on, that tells me that I believe something else happened this day, people. And I don't think it resulted in anybody passing away. That's why. You're bringing in people who are not normally there to pull off something like that? Hey, extra 7 people who are not normally here, come along. Come along. And even if you didn't think this was going to happen after the fact that it did happen, just keep your mouth shut. Yeah, I trust all 7 extra of you, not to mention the people who are there, who are normally there, who was also present. Yeah, we trust all of you all to keep your mouth shut.
Mormonism, or the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, is more historically accurate than Protestant.
Well, you're more aggressive than I would be. First of all, I love Mormons. I've said that forever.
That's Charlie just said, I love Mormons. I've said that repeatedly. As we know, Utah is one of the capital, if not the capital, of Mormonism, Latter-day Saints.
So this mic's not picking up any audio. This is just going to be a fun, polite discussion. Mormons. By the way, I love how Mormons have more kids than they can afford.
Charlie says this would not be a light discussion. I've said many times, I love the fact that Mormons have more kids than they can afford.
No more of this LGBT stuff.
Mormons, time to get your mojo back. No more of this LGBTQ stuff.
Let me just continue. I love how Mormons and missionaries around the world. I love how polite you are. I have my team as Mormon. Terrell's a Mormon. Andrew's a Mormon.
He said, my team is Mormon. Terrell's a Mormon. Andrew's a Mormon. All right. And they're celebrating that. Why am I mentioning this in today's video? Because that's very concerning. That is very concerning. I've also linked in the description a video that I did several months ago, more than 5-6 months ago. And it's entitled something along the lines of Charlie Kirk's bizarre views on Freemasonry, etc. Just to remind people why you should be very concerned about Charlie Kirk stating this is because to brag on the fact that they have more children that they can afford is harmless for sure. But so do Luciferians, Satanists, Buddhists. Do you support them? Do you support that faith because they have a lot of children? I just want to remind people, and I made sure that I put this together. I want to remind people of Mormonism and some of the most concerning things about Mormonism. And if you don't think Charlie Kirk knew about this, you have another thing coming. I would highly encourage you to watch that video about Charlie Kirk's views on Freemasonry, which I think is complete baloney. I think Charlie Kirk was lying. Here are some of the most controversial views about Mormonism. And I have also linked in the description two of the biggest videos I've ever seen about Mormonism. One of them was Mormons. They go from door to door, knocking on doors. Hey, have you heard about the, Latter-day Saints Church, whatever. And they came across this gentleman. Many of you all probably saw it because it has over 3 million views over the last year or two. This Christian, this follower of Christ was very respectful to them. And he just simply turned the mirror around and just asked them about their beliefs. Do you know that your church teaches X, Y, and Z? Such as God was once a mortal man who progressed to become God. They believe that humans can become gods by exaltation. If you didn't know, they reject the Trinity, right? They believe that Jesus and God the Father have physical bodies. That is not the same as saying that you believe that Jesus Christ, not half human, but was fully human and fully God, fully man and fully spiritual. They don't believe that. That's not what they believe. Joseph Smith is regarded as a prophet who received additional revelation from God, right? They believe that the Book of Mormon is additional scripture to the Bible. They believe that there are multiple levels of heaven. Did you know that? Rather than the traditional heaven, hell framework, they believe that there are multiple levels of heaven. Where does the scriptures teach that? They believe that there is baptism for the dead. If you don't know what that means, essentially, they believe that living members can be baptized on behalf of deceased people. That's demonic. That's demonic. Anybody that supports that, I believe, is supporting Luciferianism. All right. They believe that temple ordinances, which, by the way, I'm going to get into that, are considered necessary for the highest level of salvation, exaltation. And temple ordinances is basically religious ceremonies. And they believe these things are necessary for you to be, to get your salvation. Huh? And then they believe that the traditional Christian doctrine of original sin is rejected. So in other words, the idea that Adam and Eve rejected God, sinned against God, and that's the original sin that has since resulted in suffering, sin and, rebellion against God. They don't believe in that. They believe in something they call the fall of Adam. And they believe that Adam, they have a saying called Adam fell that men might be, and men are that they might have joy. That's demonic. There's something else very important you need to know about Mormonism. And if you're trying to convince me that Charlie Kirk did not know this, then I have a problem. This is going to be an excerpt that is also linked in the description. It's the same video that's titled Charlie Kirk's Bizarre Views on Freemasonry. Let's take a listen to Mormonism and its ties to Freemasonry. This is going to be relevant. Christianity, what does that mean? Usher in what? Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, the way, and the life. No man gets to the Father but by him. And I'm not saying that because Charlie Kirk, to be clear, did say that he did not agree with the worship, right, and the praise and placing popes and priests on pedestals in Catholicism. He has explicitly said that. However, he also said he will support the Pope if the Pope is against transgenderism and if he is against the LGBTQ. This is not political, bro. That's politics. There is no middle ground. You can't be lukewarm. You can't have a soft space in your heart for Mormonism. But before we move on, let's talk about Mormonism. Did you know that Mormons, there's a guy by the name of Joseph Smith, who is the founder of Mormonism. Did you know that he was a Freemason? Not only was he a Freemason, but Mormonism itself in its inception is tied to Freemason. Freemasonry. It's one and the same. Don't believe me? Let's read it together. It says here, let me make sure. Mormonism and Freemasonry. The relationship between Mormonism and Freemasonry began early in the life of Joseph Smith, founder of the Latter-day Saint movement, and includes similarities, Mormon and Masonic rituals, such as elements of the endowment ceremony and stories of recovered ancient records. Smith was claimed to have stated that Mormonism had quote-unquote true masonry. Other leaders like Brigham Young said Masonic rituals were an apostate endowment, corrupted from the rites given in Solomon's temple that Smith had restored to its original form. Smith's older brother, Hiram, joined Masonry in the 1820s, and his father, Joseph Sr., may have been one as well while the family lived near Palmyra, New York, or Palmyra, New York. In the late 1820s, the Western New York region was swept with anti-Masonic fervor, as it should have been. By the 1840s, Smith and most Latter-day Saints, including but not limited to many in church leadership, had become Freemasons and joined the Masonic Lodge in Nauvoo, Illinois. Soon after joining Freemasonry in March 1842, Smith introduced the temple ceremony referred to as the endowment, which included a number of symbolic elements that were very similar to those in Freemasonry. Smith remained a Freemason until his death, and that's typically how it works. That is not surprising at all. In modern times, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has stated that its members may become Freemasons, and Freemasonry allows them to join. A significant number of leaders in the early Latter-day Saints movement were Masons prior to their involvement in the movement, including Heber C. Kimball and John C. Bennett. So, you don't think Charlie Kirk knew that? Of course Charlie Kirk knew that, because that's basic information about Mormonism. It's basic. Joseph Smith, the person who is credited as founding this new quote-unquote religion, was a Freemason. Let's talk a little bit about Charlie's shirt. Now, many of you all have argued that Charlie Kirk was pow by his microphone, and then we see the shrapnels or the broken glass in the bottom of the SUV, which is very compelling. I am not here to argue against the nature of this news that is basically like this big revelation. People didn't know until Candace Owens, Candace Owens has been the one to reveal a lot of things that people didn't know, and she's able to get our hands on a lot of information. Yeah, we don't know who our source is. We don't know how Candace is getting this stuff, but she's getting it. Let's talk a little bit about this shirt. I'm not an expert. I am not claiming to be an expert. I just want to pose some questions. Charlie Kirk's shirt did something very weird that day. One thing I have to agree with Andrew Wilson on. As much as I don't want to. But I'm a true teller. If you actually go to video footage that I'm not going to show here on YouTube, just do your own simple Google searches, and you go and look up road mics that explode on people and take people out, there's usually at least, I'm going to give you a benefit of the doubt and say a little bit of smoke somewhere. If there's some smoke in DD and I've missed it, I'll be the first to correct myself. I've never seen any smoke at any point in time. Not only that, there's no hole that's created. There's no fire that's created on the spot. We should have been able to see it on the spot. I think that's a fair thing to say. We should have been able to see it on the spot. his shirt does this weird thing that Green Berets are coming out on news networks and saying his shirt did something strange. You all have come to the conclusion that you believe the microphone is the explanation for it. I'm not one of those people. I believe what we saw take place, which would explain why we saw no smoke, which will explain why we saw no hole in the shirt, no burning, no type of fire, no type of flash, no nothing. Because if we're going to entertain it, okay, so if it's here and it strikes Charlie, we should see the body do something that's consistent with some sort of impact from that angle. Again, I'm no expert, but based on what I've seen, I don't see that. I think there's something else going on with Charlie's shirt. And I think when you compare it with conjunction to everything else that's been presented and will be presented in today's video, it's kind of hard. You probably have to ask yourself if you're displaying some cognitive dissonance to not even entertain the possibility that maybe there was something else going off on Charlie's shirt, under Charlie's shirt. And I'm not so sure the microphone was that. Okay? Not to mention, something that I guarantee you will never see are the cameras that's right in front of Charlie. Like these. Nobody finds it suspicious that we haven't seen, we've yet to see any footage from these cameras. It's because we never are. Let's see what Ryan Mata had to say, which, by the way, I love Ryan Mata's work. This is no diss to him, but I will disagree on his conclusion. He says they are going to Epstein, Tyler Robinson, or the courts are going to magically lose the video footage from this camera angle. This is a 0% chance. There's a 0% chance that we ever get to see this video footage. Ryan, I agree with you, brother. I would agree with you. The reason why Candace was allowed to view the back shot and not the front shot is becoming more obvious by the day. I agree. I totally agree with you. If the world ever sees the 4K crystal clear footage from this camera angle, which we'll never see, the entire cover-up will be blown wide open. I agree with you, brother. I just have a different definition of what cover-up means. Then the entire world would know for a fact that this one foreign place planned, plotted, and carried out the pow-powing of Charlie Kirk. Then they used the Epstein files to blackmail the U.S. federal government into covering it up. Not a bad theory. Not a bad theory. But again, based on some of the things that's going to be presented in today's live, I'm struggling to believe that that's actually what happened. In fact, I think the narrative here, like I presented at the very beginning, is what I believe they want the masses to believe has happened, so that they can then argue anti-Semitism is through the roof. Why do you all think we never saw this footage and we're never going to get to see this footage? Is it because nothing actually happened to Charlie? Is that why? Shout out to a channel who don't get, he's one of the channels I've mentioned before in the past that gets shadow banned, but he should be getting hundreds of thousands of views. He's one of the people that definitely should be at the top of the list when it comes to this and a lot of other things that happen in this country, let alone this world. They live truth. Brother, I know you don't get a lot of love on your channel. I hate that for you. I know you're shadow banned. I know you are. Your content holds a lot of integrity. You don't care about how people feel about you. You present it as is. Let me give you some love. I've linked in the description to They Live Truth. I've linked both videos in the description already. Let's take a look at what just 2 or 3 of the things that he discovered or he observed. And he's just giving his perspectives on it. And I just want to give you a heads up. Before I play this clip, keep in mind the clip that I played at the very beginning from Chronicles of Judah. Tell me if anything sounds similar.
There's a few things I want to point out with the occultic side of things that people have missed. Just take a look around. It's right in front of you, all in plain sight. It comes down to it. You see here where American comeback, and you see the as above, so below with the red and blue. Of course, red and blue equal purple for witchcraft and royalty.
Bingo.
You see the CC with the turning point, as you see here with Charlie Kirk at the podium. The turning point logo, when you put it side by side, they did this for a reason. You could just have one logo with the turning point, but they do this on purpose with two. You have your C and C for 33 coded. Again, I have to really emphasize they're all about symbolism. You see the lightning bolt as well.
So before he shows this here, you're going to have to forgive me. I accidentally exported this video out of Premiere Pro and I cut the sides. What he's showing you here, you can easily see both of the C's there, which that's a very interesting way to design. And they've shown it twice, so it can be CC for 33. And of course, remember Charlie Kirk's initials. His first initial is a C, which is the third letter in the alphabet. And K, which is the first letter in his last name, is the 11th letter in the alphabet. 11 times 3 is 33. We've already discussed that many times, and we've discussed so many times how 33 has come up so many different times, and it's not a coincidence. People keep trying to. People like Andrew Wilson will tell you, they're basing it off numbers and conspiracies and the Freemasons. Like it's something silly about that. Bear with me. So right here in the A, you see how the A drops all the way down? And this is my fault. The word comeback, the American comeback, the K at the very end, the top of it goes all the way upwards. The way that the A drops down, the K goes all the way up. That's what he meant by as above, so below. Those of you that don't know, that's also Freemasonic. But before he shows you all the next part of this video, I want to explain just so it can hit different. Everybody knows, or if you've been following this channel long enough, you know that J. Cole is my favorite secular artist growing up. A lot of people will call him a quote-unquote conscious artist. He's not going to encourage you to do drugs. He's not going to encourage you to fornicate. He's not going to encourage you to commit crimes like you see overwhelmingly in the music industry. As Jason Whitlock stated earlier, I'm stating as well, the music industry is overwhelmingly demonic by nature. It has to be. Partially because, or mostly because, the people who run the industry have designed it that way. You cannot thrive in the industry unless you push the agenda. J. Cole is not off the hook. I went to a couple of his concerts some years ago, and I went with my, at the time, girlfriend, and I was noticing something about J. Cole. I said, it's kind of hard to find symbolism and things in J. Cole's music and lyrics. He's very good at hiding it. I'm like, well, maybe he's the exception. There's no such thing as a freaking exception. He's one of the biggest rappers in the world. Then I go to his concert, and every time he points to the left side of the crowd, he points like that. Nobody points that way. If you do that once or twice, fine. You get an exception. We all do loose things with our body and our hands at times. He does it consistently every single concert. He points at the audience. Left side, what's up? Who points like that? Right side, what's up? Nobody does that. Why are you doing that? This is a still shot from a music video he dropped earlier this year called Old Dog. It's not even a real music video. He did something where he drove around the country in his old Honda Civic, and he was selling CDs out of his car. And he decided once the car broke down on him at one point, he went to this car shop. While at the car shop, his car is like lifted up on the machine and they're working on it. He got permission to film like a quick minute and a half video. It was like something really quick. He had the gear, the equipment. He's walking under the Honda. Look what he does here. The moment he did it, I screenshotted it and showed it to my girl, and I was like, what does this mean? Why would you, nobody, he said, I had to leave them pine trees just to get it. Said when I got it, I was going to bring it back, and guess what? I did it. I left in the Civic, came back in the Lamb, feeling like Tupac in Atlanta, something like that. But what he said was, I left in a Civic, came back in a Lamb, a Lamborghini. I left in a Civic. When he said left in a Civic, he points upwards. This is how you point. I left in a Civic. Who points up like that? That's not even comfortable. I left in a Civic. I'm like, J. Cole, bro, I see you for what you are. Oh, my bad. Did I mean to put that up there? Let's get back to this video.
Below with the red and blue. Of course, red and blue, the one logo with the turning point, but they do this on purpose with two. You have your C and C for 33 coded. Again, I have to really emphasize they're all about symbolism. You see the lightning bolt as well. During this onstage interview from Albuquerque, New Mexico, what do you see them doing here? And they communicate with signs and symbols. This is what they're all about. Charlie Kirk, the supposed Christian, doing the devil horns on stage.
Really strange. Like, why would, what would, I just don't know anybody, regular people, that naturally do this.
They speak through symbolism. I have to really hammer this point. And as always, I don't work off one piece of information to come to conclusions. I use multiple. And here's an example here.
Not to mention, and I've talked about this before, another great example are the crisis actors. They originally said one thing happened that day, but then the narrative changed, and then some of them would come back on camera and give a completely different story.
Second row, we were just looking up and we see, he was debating about shooting and he was talking about it, and then we see we hear a shot and then just a wave of blood come out of his chest.
Out of his chest. You're not confused about what you saw, bro. His chest is what you said. I guess you got the wrong memo or the wrong message, which goes back to what I was stating earlier. I believe everything I say is alleged. This is just a theory. This is why I believe they were recording and looking at the drone footage, because they was trying to make sure everything was in place, the right angles. That's what I believe they were doing. Allegedly. Can't stress that enough. This is just my thoughts. I'm not saying this is facts. I'm not accusing them of taking out Charlie, of any of that. So that whenever they put out whatever official video they wanted to alter and put out to the audience so it can trend on Twitter, they can make sure it coincided with the message, except they messed up. Which is part of the thing I think they messed up, which I'm going to get ahead of myself. I think they messed up when they did not allow at least one of the medics in the SUV. They slipped up there. You were supposed to let at least one in. It looks more realistic. You couldn't do it, though. You didn't think to do it. They get in there, they know that nothing's wrong with Charlie. You got Charlie up out there so fast. Was you really trying to save him? Because you all's perspective is they were taking out Charlie. Here's something to consider. When Charlie went down, his security detail was doing whatever they were doing to Charlie. When his hand comes up one time and goes back down, they're there for a while. What am I saying? If they were really taking out Charlie, they had more than enough time to do it right then and there. He was already pow-powed, right? He was already hit. All you got to do is just get that over with in 10 seconds, 15 seconds. It's 3 of y'all, 4 of y'all. He's not going to fight against that. Y'all are handing stuff to each other. My point is you have more than enough time to finish the job if you were going to finish it behind that table. So therefore, once you get into the SUV, you can have at least one medic in the car. Keep his shirt on. Have the medic to look at his neck or whatever.
You just see like hit his chest and then just
hit his chest. She says the same thing. Crisis actors.
Blood squirted out of him.
During, right on that topic. Yeah, it's when he got shot in the heart.
Okay.
He got hit in the heart. Okay.
Yeah, I was there and I watched the shooting. It looked like that he got hit. A direct shot right to the heart.
Same. I mean, they almost using the same language.
As soon as he was hit, he fell backwards, went to the side. The audience went to their knees. I stayed up a little bit because I wanted to see.
And remember, part of the reason I believe it's Freemasonic in nature, and I do believe that it was a ritual, but not to actually unalive a person. Why do I believe that? Because remember, the film Snake Eyes, which it's just too many similarities from that film with Charlie Kirk, down to the freaking name Charles Kirkland and Charles Kirk. But I told you all, I'm not going to give the naysayers to conspiracy theories, I'm not going to give them too much leeway. If I reference a movie, they're going to say, see, they think he was taken out because of a movie. It's not my position, brother. And I'm not going to give you that out. What I'm saying to you is, me presented the theory, alleged theory, not saying they did this. TPUSA, I'm not stating you did this unequivocally. What I am stating is that hypothetically in the world, if you were to do it, and that is, by do it, I mean alter the footage. Nothing really happened, allegedly. You alter the footage to make it look like by putting this little dot on his neck. Why? Because to follow the narrative of Snake Eyes, it's not about the film itself. It's about the propaganda. It's about the predictive programming. We got to run with this narrative. Charles Kirkland was hit in what side of his neck? They altered the footage to go accordingly with that instead of the chest. Because some people are saying they messed up. He was supposed to be hit in the heart. No. The narrative was always going to be the neck. Just like Snake Eyes said it was decades ago. Nothing's changed. They have a narrative to go with and they're sticking with it. Allegedly. All right? And now, one of the favorite parts of the video today for me personally. Selfishly, I say that. Because now we have video footage of Charlie Kirk's personal assistant. We have Mikey McCoy. We have Terrell Farnsworth. Blake Neff. These people, Frank Turek. We got all this suspicious behavior. And now we have Charlie Kirk's personal assistant surprisingly acting just like Mikey McCoy. Unbothered. Now would you look at that? The best actors in the world, unfazed by setting up Charlie Kirk. None of them are phased. Okay. 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 It says here, this is Nate Walker. Let me zoom in a little bit more. This is Nate Walker, Charlie's personal assistant. Roughly 105 seconds. That's a minute and a half. That's not even 2 minutes. 105 seconds after Charlie was unalived in front of him, allegedly. He's casually walking across campus, slipping on his sunglasses with an almost surreal level of everyday normalcy. Everyday normalcy. I'm sure someone will tell us there's a perfectly innocent explanation. I'd like to know what the explanation actually is. Let's take a look at this footage. I don't know if that's going to be copyrighted, so I'm going to just mute it. Look at this. And now the full clip from Candace's show.
This is him immediately following the explosive around 12:25, so about, I guess, a minute.
The explosive?
In 45 seconds afterward. Here he is up near the Flag of Halls walkway, putting on sunglasses. And he doesn't have his bag. Here he comes.
And it's almost like once he saw the camera, he put on his shades. What is this? He's not screaming. He's not confused. He's not yelling. He's not crying. He's not frantic. Now, if we are, and this isn't to be a knock or a bash or none of that, not to be condescending, but I'm just stating, if we were to go along with many of you all's narrative that Charlie Kirk was set up, okay, fine. He's in on it too. You said, well, yeah, you don't want to underestimate anybody. All these young people, only because of time, and I want to be efficient with my live today because I don't have a team that works behind the scenes in a control room somewhere. Otherwise, I'd get them to look up just really fast the still image that I've showed many times on this channel of the young lady with the MAGA hat. The young white, like she's probably about 22, 23-year-old white girl, blonde hair, red hat, that was inside of the enclosed space of where Charlie was by the tent. The moment Charlie goes down, he hasn't even hit the ground yet. Mikey's turned around. She didn't even look at Charlie. Everybody else is running and screaming. Why don't you at least look to see what happened with Charlie? She smirked and walked away calmly. She's in on it too. How do you explain this? This young person, his personal assistant, also in on it? All of them can just handle death that well, let alone a setup, a betrayal. Really? That's not the hill I'm willing to die on, respectfully. Something else is going on here. Allegedly. What in the world? This is not even 2 minutes. Why isn't he trying to help? Why isn't he concerned? Remember, Charlie has already been supposedly hit. Look at this guy's face. Huh? Huh? Look, man. Look, man. I'm my own thinker. There's two explanations I think that best explains this sort of behavior: a betrayal or a non-betrayal. And if it's not a betrayal, that means Charlie Kirk wasn't betrayed. And if Charlie Kirk wasn't betrayed, it's because Charlie Kirk's not deceased. That would best explain why nobody's frantic, why nobody's crying, nobody's yelling, nobody's afraid. While all of these folks have seemed to carry themselves so well since the point. You say, well, the other side is just watch the beginning of this live. I'm trying to be better about not making friends, but people tell me like, Didi, you too much of a truth teller that you burn bridges. Okay. Just watch the beginning of this episode and it'll explain to you how some of these things can be carried out after the fact to make you believe that justice is going to be served. I've already shared with my Patreon members. Link to the Patreon is in the description. By the way, if you like longer form videos such as this one, we covered that on Patreon extensively, including my Kobe Bryant Sacrifice Chronicle series that we have just dropped part 2. Patreon, link to the Patreon is in the description. I explained to you how these things typically work. There isn't going to be a result. I don't think anybody's going to ever be arrested, despite what we present, no matter what's presented online. I don't believe that. You say, well, at least we know the truth. Okay, a lot of people know the truth about a lot of things. Or at least believe that they do. Who's been arrested? Epstein, JFK, September of 2001. Who's been arrested? It's being presented to us as if to make us feel better. Justice is going to be served, but I don't believe it will be. Let's get to the lady of the hour. I'm not going to play too much of the video, but we are going to play the beginning parts, and I'm going to take you all back. Mrs. Erica Kirk. Watch Erica Kirk delivers first public remarks after fading pow-powing of her husband, 33. Charlie Kirk. Let's watch just beginning parts of this. Have to give credit where it's due. Shout out to Jesse on Fire. I watched part of his video the other day and he reacted to this. He took us back. So I'm going to take you all back as well. Because it's been a while since I've watched this. And even though it was creepy when it happened, and I'm not going to say the names, some of us out there was pretending that there was nothing weird about this, including her memorial speech, calling it one of the most inconsequential speeches ever, when everybody saw that there was something off and something wrong with this lady. When you go back now and you watch this video, it's just another case of horrible acting. I know we've all said it. I know we all believe it. I know we all suspicious of Erica. But in conjunction and within the confounds of this video and what I'm trying to relay over to you all, look at this video through those lenses. Through those lenses, watch this video now. Wouldn't it make more sense why this person had to force himself to try to cry? Wait until they get on camera to whisper under the microphone. As she's going to say, Jesus, the widow. Let's watch this with the context that has been presented in today's live. Performative. You say, well, you can't control. No, stop it. Miss me with the BS. Performative. Let me wait until I get on camera. Let me wait until I'm mic'd up so people can see me and hear me say that. Woe me, I'm upset. This is going to be very difficult for me, which will be a lot more believable until she starts speaking. Voice never crackles. Nothing about your voice says that you're struggling, lady. The face that you're giving, that you're trying to portray, is the complete opposite of your voice. Your voice sounds like a normal person that's trying to figure out how to be in this moment, but it doesn't work. Because once again, much like Mikey McCoy, she's not a great actor. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Good evening.
What up?
My name is Erica Kirk. Charlie Kirk is my husband.
Is your husband? Okay. You said, well, maybe she's in denial. Okay, fair. Fine.
I first want to thank the local, state, and federal law enforcement who worked tirelessly to capture my husband's assassin so that he can be brought to justice.
The one that you forgave right away. Why does she sound so poised? Oh, because she's such a strong woman. Stop it. I've seen videos of people putting their dogs down, struggling more than that. If I had to put my dog down, I would not be okay. She's just been an integral part of my life, especially given that I don't have children yet, you know? Your husband? Why do you sound so poised? Well, maybe there's nothing to be sad about. Maybe that's why.
I want to thank the first responders who struggled heroically.
Oh my. Dude. It's like being in acting class and then the teacher is like, or the professor is giving you pointers and the script says behaved heroically. And then he shows you a clip from a film and say it like this. And then you look and you say heroically. The professor's going to say, no, cut, stop. There's not supposed to be a gap like that. You're supposed to say heroically. There's supposed to be some sort of natural flow within it. There's not supposed to be this breakup because the disconnect is going to communicate that you're an amateur actor. It's almost like you're trying to rehearse it or memorize it. It's not supposed to be that way, but that's okay. That's why we're in acting school. You're not on the big screen yet. The problem is she's on the big screen. Even though we know she has a history in acting, which Charlie Kirk would have known about that as well, but we'll get to that because Charlie Kirk somehow has been let off the hook with all these people that's at TPUSA that he either hired or, as I understand, Tyler Boyer was responsible for hiring all these people. All right, fine. Charlie Kirk had some hand at some point with some of these people. He didn't know any of the things that we've since found out about these people. That's a tough sell, bro. That's a tough sell. Charlie Kirk wasn't my friend, so it's not as hard for me to be honest about this.
To save Charles's life. And the police who acted bravely to make sure that there were no other victims on that terrible afternoon. I want to thank the officers who have protected our Turning Point USA family these past 2 days.
She sounds so poised. I can't get over that.
And I want to thank the Turning Point USA board.
Why are they being thanked right now? Why does any of that matter? The board, what did they do?
The COO, Justin Strife, and my husband's chief of staff, the amazing Mikey McCoy.
Oh boy.
For all their work in these terrible days to be the stability for our family and for the wider Turning Point USA family as well.
There's literally no emotion. There's no mourning. There's no trembling, no crackling. There's nothing. This is a normal person speaking to us, bro. A normal person. All right. And I was just speaking about like just the people at TPUSA who's been hired, et cetera, et cetera. Let's let me do this. Because have any of you all seen Andrew Covett cry? How about Blake Neff, Mikey McCoy, Tyler Boyd, any of these people? Why have all of them been able to carry themselves so well? If they hate Candace Owens so much, why not just unfollow Candace? Duh. Instead, they're religiously watching her show. They're going back and forth like theater. Retweeting her like theater. It's weird. When all of it could be solved by simply coming on camera, but they know to do that will probably put more things to rest than not. So just keep it going. It's very strange. Just come on camera and talk with people. Let me I'm gonna show you all something that I retweeted something a few days ago that I found very interesting. Says here, this is how you know that these folks are guilty of something. Why argue against every critic that doesn't buy the Fed narrative? Confusing. How do you know for a fact what happened? Why not entertain the possibility of something else that may have happened? Very weird. Rob O'Neill went on Newsmax and said the following about Charlie's pow-powing. I don't think Charlie Kirk got pow-powed the way they're saying. It seems like a cover-up. Right? Former Army Ranger, sniper, and Green Beret, Matt Tardio's response, yep, he's wrong. They only have people on this show that are against it, but that's a red herring. What do I mean? None of this matters, people. That's my theory. None of this matters, and they know none of it matters. We'll never see Charlie's body. None of it matters in the sense of keep the argument going about what truly happened, how Charlie was truly taken out, so that nobody really focuses on the fact that we don't have much evidence that he was taken out, unless there's something that I missed. Why are we so convinced on the side that's going against TPUSA and the Fed slop? Why are we so convinced that Charlie's gone, though? That's the part I'm trying to understand. It's already very strange that TPUSA is doing everything in their power. They're only talking to people that agree with them. They're only talking to people that are Zionists. They're only talking to people that don't challenge them. Then the other side is doing everything to expose TPUSA, its employees, its CEO, its backstory, all the things, and I'm for it. But if you're really about truth, why are you buying into the false dichotomy? Right? This is very, very important. Many people say we have to save Tyler Robinson. An innocent person is going to be unalived. Everything I say in this video is alleged. That's not how these things work. Tyler Robinson is not going to be unalived. An innocent person's life is not at risk. Whether it's the death penalty or not, it's not at risk. Allegedly. That's not what happens in these types of cases. High profile situations like this, MLK, JFK, RFK, and the likes, a lot of these quote unquote patsies are in on it. Right? In on it, not in the sense that they were in on some other conspiracy and they got the short end of the stick. Not what I'm saying. Tyler Robinson's life is not at stake, bro. I believe that kid is an MK Ultra asset. That is by way of electroshock therapy, torture, drugs, and the likes. Allegedly. I don't believe that man is going to be taken out. You all, if he was to be quote unquote Epstein, you all are to believe, we are to believe that he was taken out. So please, we're trying to save some other, you're not, respectfully. I know you mean that and you mean well. It's not what goes on in these things. There's far more important things than to try to convince you that Tyler Robinson is a patsy or not if you're Donald Trump, which is why Trump has been very disinterested, right? Unbothered. Here's another important question. If they really wanted to take out Charlie Kirk, like actually take him out, there's so many other things they could do. They didn't have to, well, they wanted to take him out the way that they brought him in, the way they introduced him to people in front of everybody to make an example out of him. Do you understand how difficult and how many things have to fall in line for you to be able to pull that off so well, which is part of the issue they're having now, which is led me to believe that Charlie Kirk is here. It's just a matter of where. It's just a matter of where. They could just put something in his drink, put something in his food, rig his vehicle. When he goes for a walk or a run or a workout, my understanding was that Charlie Kirk worked out. Get him then. The in and out shooter that just happened in, I believe, Iowa, where he, I believe, unalived 3 people, injured like 7. Crazy situation with a rifle and a pistol starting in the drive-thru. Why not just use one of these Manchurian candidates, one of these MK Ultra assets, and just take them out like that? All right? Why not just do that? Why this big spectacle? That is, for my audience, that we're far past the fact that Tyler Robinson did this. That's directed towards that audience, since we're on the same side in that regard. Right? The biggest piece for me was the personal assistant. I saw that footage in the last week and I was like, look, I was screaming back in October, early October, whenever it was, when I posted for the first time on Patreon, I believe Charlie's alive. Not to be a contrarian, not to be different, not to stand out. I presented to you why I believed it. Here we are again. We got another person who's not frantic, not scared, not running, not afraid, no nothing. And the best we can come up with is he was in on it. Huh? Huh? No. Respectfully. Again, I understand why people believe what they believe and have good reason to believe that he was set up. I'm presenting why I see the same evidence you see. I have the same suspicions you have, but I reach a different conclusion. All right? We were speaking about the number 33 and how you have to be within 33 meters or 33 feet of the new superhero presented in the Spider-Man film. This is just a reminder of TPUSA. Everybody remembers the TPUSA flag. We all remember it. 33 flags. You got 11 rows of 3s. An easy way to remember that. Right? Just giving y'all enough time to count the flags. I mean, to count the stars. Are we going to say that this is a coincidence too? I'm gonna end this video with this here. The easy response is that they're just following the American colors. Well, the America that we know today, it's not even a debate. Excuse me, was founded by Freemasons. And there's a reason why they use the red and the blue, and that has been demonstrated in today's video. I believe a lot of it is Saturnianism, Luciferianism. In its essence, is what I mean. It's considered opposites. Red and blue. Left and the right. And that's where I've landed. That's where I've landed. In today's video, I presented the weird behavior behind with several people that was present that day. None of them was concerned. None of them was frantic. None of them were crying. But the result that I'm expected to believe is just that they set him up. Andrew Wilson, in his interview with Joe Rogan, like I said, I need to do an entire live on Andrew Wilson, and I plan to probably tomorrow. Andrew Wilson himself said, Joe Rogan was like, yeah, but I think it's a bit weird when you come out with pyrotechnics and fireworks and glitter suits, and, you know, you probably should have laid low. Andrew Wilson, for those of you that don't know or didn't see it, he came out and stated what? I asked her about that when I saw her. He's like, what about the performance? He's like, nah, just what's with all the trying to figure out the exact language he used. Basically the performances, right? And he says that Erica Kirk told him the answer is because she was hoisted into a new position that she's never been in before, and she's kind of just going along with it. Huh? That's your explanation? Because you were hoisted into a new position that you've never been in before, so you're going to use pyrotechnics. In fairness to them, they've used pyrotechnics at prior events when Charlotte was around, but this is the worst time to be doing it, and to consistently do it with these expensive, very loud outfits, these weird eyes that she's given, not choosing to talk to anybody on camera who disagrees with you, not answering any of the questions online, but you're working behind the scenes with other people is strange. That's how you act because you are hoisted into a new position. How do you explain your call with your TPUSA employees on the Zoom call? You seemed fine. Almost seemed like it was a joke, in my opinion. You would seem more jittery talking to them, like you didn't have to act as well, as opposed to speaking to the masses. Charlie's okay. I'm gonna just talk to them and we just gonna move on. You know, that's how it appears to me. That's how it appears to me. Andrew Wilson also reveals in this video with Joe Rogan, and again, I'll talk about this in another video. He says that was one of the things that he was upset with TPUSA about with other people, along with other people early on, because once it was revealed that Charlie was taken out by this leftist, why wasn't TPUSA doing more to hop on this narrative and make an example out of Tyler Robinson about how violent the left is? Do you see what they do there? Do you see what he just did? He did a couple of things. He's pushing more of the left-right paradigm nonsense when it's violent people on both sides. It's violent people on both sides, duh. And once again, a false dichotomy. There are people who don't identify as left and right, and those are not our only two options in this country. Both sides are corrupted, two wings of the same bird. That's a fact. Nobody who's ever in office is going to do what they say in a total sense, and not just because they can't get the other side to agree. They're not even going to attempt to. That's the way to know if these people are controlled. The fact that they're there to begin with tells you that they're controlled. But here's a bigger issue with Andrew Wilson's point. Andrew Wilson, why do you think TPUSA wasn't on it? Why do you think they weren't on every news channel, like you said, talking about Tyler Robinson? Because they was trying to, just like how they got Charlie in a casket, filmed him going into the hearse, filmed her crying over his body, but they didn't show the face of whatever this was she was crying on. Just like how they rushed through that, it's the same thing with this. They trying to get this out the way. Allegedly. Yep. Yeah, man. So that's where I'm at with it, people. That's where I'm at with it. I assume there's probably going to be some super chats where people are going to ask this question, but I'm just going to say it now for those that are asking. Didi, are you stating that unequivocally, without a shadow of a doubt, some of the people that don't believe the narrative, the Fed slop, could be in on it? I'm telling you that it's possible. That's my answer. Absolutely, I believe it's possible. Watch the first clip. I'm not saying I hate people. I'm not saying I don't enjoy the work that they're doing. That's not what I'm stating. I'm saying there's some weird things going on here. I'm not saying we shouldn't be investigating and looking for new theories and new evidence and new damaging findings to hurt the other side. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, watch. It's not going to result in anything. The feds aren't doing the same investigation we're doing, right? Those are the ones that got to make the arrest. What are we going to do? A citizen's arrest? Are we going to go and arrest these people? Or are we going to just hold a grudge against them for the rest of time? Just like how Ben Shapiro's channel is plummeting and he doesn't care. Same thing with TPUSA. There's a reason why Andrew Covett and Blake Neff are running Charlie's channel. They don't care that they're getting the least amount of views than ever. They don't care that people don't trust them. They have a role to play, allegedly. So there's that. All right, man, let's get to some of your super chats. If I can get this down first. There we go. This was the comment I saw before I went live. Somebody said it's really fascinating. It's really feeling like Candace and TPUSA are doing a WWE thing for the masses to distract us. Any thoughts? I'm a person of integrity. I didn't have to read this comment. I wanted to read it because I thought it was interesting because you're a person that thinks for yourself. Possible. The answer is that it's possible. This is once again, I don't know Candace Owens personally. I enjoy her investigations. Yes, I've had questions along the way. I imagine I'm going to have some more about the timing of when she's revealed certain things. Certain thumbnails. She's free to do whatever she wants on her channel. You're going to have people, mostly women, to hop in the comment section and say, Didi, she can talk about whatever she wants. She can do whatever she wants on her show. I don't need you to tell me. Miss me with the BS. What I'm saying to you is, sure, and I'm free to react to it the way I'd like. And what I'm saying is it could be a little bit off-putting her thumbnails. I think Candace is extremely intelligent. I think her episodes are very compelling, extremely professional. I enjoy watching her show. I enjoy watching the do things that she introduced. But as a critical thinker myself, I have questions. I have several questions about some of the things that she finds. All right. That's it. That's it. And you will not bully me. You will not pressure me into not thinking for myself. Wrong channel, wrong person, wrong man. Shout out to Lisa. Thank you for the $10. D, I love your show. Your honesty is impeccable and much needed. Never believed he could be alive. But I am waiting to see what you think. Thanks for all you do. Getting to the truth. Christ is King. Christ is Lord. Amen. Thank you for the jewels. Thank you, ladies. Oh, shoot. Jesse on fire in the comment section. What up, Jesse, bro? Good to see you, man. We got to work, bro. I keep trying to figure out because somebody sent me, tried to connect. I need to get your email or something, bro. Let's do this live because this topic in particular is something you and I need to talk about. I think the people want to see that, bro. Let's talk about this when we get a chance. It's so obvious once you see it that it hurts to watch people fumble around trying to explain things with absurd nonsense when everything explained by this answer. Everything is explained. Like I say, I will give people the benefit of the doubt and say, yes, based on his character, I understand that. I'll speak for myself. I was about to say we. I'll speak for myself. I didn't know Charlie. I don't know Charlie. I don't know. One person in the comment section said, I would like Didi to do a deep dive. Yes, I saw that comment. I would like Didi to do a deep dive on Charlie's upbringing. The issue is I've attempted to do that as best I can. It's not as easy. In fairness to Charlie, you do see some images and stuff from high school and things of that sort, but it's not the easiest thing to do. Now, I have done a deep dive on Erica and Charlie's history, including their parents, but as far as upbringing, that's a different monster. But Jesse, you are right on, man. People are so resistant because they can't accept that nearly everything is fake. Bingo. The people who I typically call conspiracy theorists looking at us as conspiracy theorists. That's how I feel at times because I'm like, if you just, and I've said this before, How about you just believe that Charlie Kirk is alive? I mean, it is deceased. You believe that? That's okay. I want you to pretend for 60 seconds that he's not. Now go through everything I went through in this video. Obviously, you can't go through the video in 60 seconds, but every point that I made, the behavior of Mikey, the behavior of Erica, the behavior of his personal assistant, the behavior of Terrell Farnsworth, the behavior of Frank Turk, the fact that they're watching drones right there by Charlie instead of looking at Charlie, the fact they had their phones out to begin with. This is nothing new. The fact that new people were there. It was like a theater production. Typically on the set of movie sets or the sets of movie scenes, you need the more people that are better because they have different roles to play. You don't need more people when you're just trying to pull off unaliving. The security detail can do that themselves. They don't need the rest of you all there. When you're on the set of a movie scene, you need a cameraman, you need a producer, you need the actors, you need the makeup artist, you need the cleanup crew, all the things. And everybody has to play their role. You got different people recording from different angles. You got people behind the director to make sure that everything looks accordingly. It looks like a movie scene. It looks like the set of a movie scene. And only because I forced myself to be objective, once you see it, it's kind of hard to unsee it. Jesse, spot on, bro. Hey, Miss Elaine, thank you for the jewels. Gina. I believe Charlie Kirk was an asset from the start. I agree. Long-term plan like everything else they do in the world. And MKU Frankenstein with agenda. They made a very long time ago, decades ago, actually. I agree. And for those who are going to say, well, he talked about Jesus, he did. Here's my counter, though, because it's hard to argue against a person that's leading you towards who I believe to be the one true God, because everything else is void. I don't care if you're leading people to God. What does it matter? Here's what's interesting. Charlie's beliefs was a bit interesting. There's a bit of Catholicism in there. I know I got some Catholics in the chat. I don't believe that Catholicism is the same thing as being a Christian. We can have that debate. We can bring somebody on if you'd like. I'm open to that, and we can be respectful. I've done deep dives before. I got like 2 or 3 videos on Patreon about Catholicism. One of them is on the channel on YouTube. One is just too deep about the history of Catholicism to speak about on YouTube. They'd flag the video about the Pope, about the things that the popes wear on their heads, both types of hats. Like, anyways, I'll get too deep here in the moment. But Charlie seemed to like entertain a little bit of Catholicism, practice of Catholicism. As I showed earlier, he supported many things about Mormonism. Yes, he was critical, and I believe he was a bit critical that day as well. I give credit where it's due. But you can't be too accepting to things like that because it's Luciferianism. That's what it is. If you have remnants, and I shouldn't even say remnants, really the essence of what you are stems from Freemasonry. That's not of Jesus Christ. So it was like being a Christian sprinkled with other things. And they believe in like the 7 mountains, and we can get into all that stuff. It was weird. Shout out to everybody with the jewels. Appreciate that. Boom, boom. Putting you on the screen so we can see it. Shout out to Lane being a member for 11 months. I'm still rocking. As soon as I can, I'll be getting some merch. Oh, that reminds me, bro, I keep forgetting to promote the merch. And my people are like emailing me saying, hey, Didi, watch your last live. Didn't hear you mention it. Watch your last video. If you are interested in the merch, allegedly, hop in the comment section and you can at least check out some of our designs. We got some really cool designs. That's another way to support the work, to support what I do here. I don't make a ton of money, and so that will help and go a long ways. That does not go unnoticed when you all go and show some love, because I'm not the biggest creator and I am shadow banned half the time. So it means the world to me if you can just show some love. If you can't afford it, no pressure at all. Do not spend your last dollars on anything of mine. All right. And so shout out to Elaine. Thank you for the plug. Became a YouTube member. Shout out to Rose Trail. Heck yeah, boom. Shout out to Gina once again. Could be their Frankenstein had a short circuit and they had to destroy him, like in the movie he started thinking for himself. I mean, that's possible. It's just like I said, it's kind of hard when you start looking at the behaviors of those around him. And it's like either everybody was in on it or they knew nothing happened to the dude, you know? Boom, boom. All right. Thank you for the $8. Love your work, DD. It's refreshing to see a content creator able to question everything in pursuit of truth. Absolutely. Thank you so much. I agree. And like I say, that all of it isn't hate, but some people do not like it when you go against what some of their other creators have said. No, I don't care about none of that. You're not gonna bully me to try to think. Nah. If you think that I'm steering off in the wrong direction or a different direction, sure, send me your thoughts and we can have a discuss. Discourse is what I encourage. All right, trying to insult people and ad hominem people into stemming back and not thinking that far ahead. Nah. Not the right channel. Angel Studios acquired Southport. I don't know what this means. Court 910 began trading on NYC 911 released Charlie Kirk Doc 1121. Just saying, follow the money, DD and all. What does that mean though? I don't know what this means. Angel Studios. I feel like I've seen that name somewhere. Fill me in, man. Educate me on what this person's talking about. Thank you. Appreciate it. Please hit the like button. If you all are still in the chat, we should have at least 3,000 likes. If you can get me 3,000 likes, I would appreciate it. It would go a long way. A very long way. 3,000 or 4,000 likes would be dope at this point. And put the banner in the bottom. We are shooting for 8,000 likes. If I can get 8,000 likes, we are in there like swimwear. Thank you for the $5. His kids were stage props. His marriage was political theater. Charlie Kirk was okay. Just like everyone else at TPUSA, people think he was an angel. Here's the thing. I can't co-sign that, but what I will say is I don't think there's anything wrong with, my understanding is that I believe Candace shared that he was a virgin. How do I say this respectfully? First and foremost, that's what you're supposed to be before you get up into marriage. I know most people don't do it. I would go a step further and say 99% of everybody in the chat has not waited until marriage to get married. It's just based on the percentages. Most people don't do it anymore. It's not the end of the world. Don't make you a horrible person. I myself am waiting for marriage to have sex, and I'm pretty dang close. And I'm 32. All right. That does not make you a gay man. I've never been attracted to a male in my life, not sexually, not romantically. I've never been drawn to be in a relationship with a man. I've never dreamt about it. I've never desired it. I don't know what it's like. I don't ever want to know what it's like. I think the anatomy of the woman is the greatest thing God has ever created. No diss to my brothers out there. I think we are all right. But it's nothing like a woman's body. All right. Now, but I do find it a bit interesting that so many of the people at TPUSA swang that way. Once again, Charlie Kirk just seems to be the one person in this investigation that gets the benefit of the doubt. He gets the pass. We acknowledge that the dude was dang near a genius, brilliant, right? Very worthy of being the president, very capable of becoming the president in the near future. But he wasn't able to see some of the most basic things us everyday, regular-minded people was able to. You need people like me, because some of us was friends with Charlie. Some of us are friends with people that's friends with Charlie, and we don't want to step on toes. I don't have any toes near anywhere around me to step on. So by me doing this, I'm not hurting nobody that I'm friends with. There's something there. I don't know if it has anything to do with the sexuality, but there's something. Shout out to you. Appreciate you. Shout out to Gina once again for the $20. I'm curious what you think of why Charlie Kirk changed his views on our greatest ally before all this. What purpose does this play in the big picture? I have my own thoughts about it. Just wondered if you're thinking same as I am. Okay, so I'm actually very glad you mentioned this. Thank you for the $20, Gina. I'm probably gonna hurt some feelings with this one, but let me try to say this before I forget it all. Number one, I believe that those may be real text messages from Charlie. However, remember at the very beginning of this video, I stated that I think one of the agendas is to sort of push, which is part of the reason why they made it against the law, to be critical and to say certain things Now, in other words, the definition of anti-Semitism has expanded on college campuses, and children are being, or young people are being more, they're being reprimanded a lot more for a lot less. And I believe, once again, the Greater Foreign Nation Project, if you're familiar with it, one of the tenets, I believe, is just that, is to increase to create the narrative that the anti-Semitism is out of control and has increased. And if you can send out text messages or show text messages from Charlie Kirk stating certain things, whether they're real text messages or not, whether he really sent them or not, whether the reason he sent them are the reason we're told or we're led to believe or not, we know that the outcome going to be, they can use this to say, look, people are becoming more racist, more anti-Semitic. They're using what Charlie said. Even Charlie, Charlie was turning on him, so many of Charlie's supporters are going to turn on him. I wonder if that's a ploy, if that's a play. That's what I'm thinking. You know? I'm curious what you think about changes views on it. Because here's the thing. I had to reread it so it can remind me of what else I was thinking about. Charlie went years, bro. Charlie is not an idiot, and I keep repeating that. I don't care what nobody say. They can feel how they want. It did not take Charlie Kirk up until September or July of this year because he had Tucker and Dave Smith come to his event and debate Josh Hammer and give monologues that all of a sudden, because of the backlash he was getting all of a sudden, bro, no. I think he was already getting backlash. If he was getting backlash then, he was getting backlash before. All of a sudden, Trump gets into office and things change. What am I getting at? What am I saying? Charlie Kirk, I believe Charlie Kirk knew he was on the wrong side of history for the longest. Part of the reason why he never debated Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes, who I don't care for in many regards, he tells a lot of truth too. These days, I don't know what that dude been on, but Nick Fuentes was calling out this dude. Groypers were masquerading and showing up as TPUSA members, but really they were Groypers just to sneak inside of these events to ask Charlie Kirk and berate him in some cases to debate Nick Fuentes. What was Charlie Kirk's response? I don't debate trolls. Huh? That's the best you, bro. We know a deflection when we see one. You're debating college students. You're going to these Ivy League schools, having debates about foreign policy. You're getting destroyed, but you wouldn't do it with Nick Fuentes. Why? Because it'd be another level of humiliation or what? Why did Charlie Kirk avoid Nick Fuentes at all costs? You know how many trolls he ran into at these college events? Lots of them. He didn't stop doing college events. It was something about this year. It was something about last year. Boom, thank you. Boom. Thank you once again, Gina, for the $20. I think, quote unquote, they are getting too arrogant, thus sloppy. I don't think it went exactly as planned. Too many are awake to the games. We'll never know the truth except that it's all fake. Manipulate masses and harvest our emotions. I'm with you. I do believe it was sloppy in some ways. I do. Before I went from 50-50 to 60-40 to 70-30, and now I believe I'm all the way at 90% convinced that the man is alive. 10% still hold out. Maybe he was set up and he was actually taken out. But I'm 90% convinced that he's alive. That best explains all the things that we're trying to figure out. That best explains it. Nothing explains it better, in my opinion. The video from behind the table after he falls. What are you getting at here? What about it? Great and grateful that we got to see it, but what did we see from that footage? At the very least, there was no exit wound. We saw him go down. We saw that from the front angle. Again, I'm grateful and glad to have it because there's more things to investigate. But are you saying that because of the back angle that it proved that he was taken out? Let's see the cameras right there in front of him that was right there beside him. We'll never see those. Sure, we can see the ones at the back because it's the same as the other ones. You don't see a wound. Right? Appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all. A lot of jewels. Thank you, Ellie, for the $20. Didi, this sounds like what a guy Nathan Reynolds talks about. Sleepers who live out certain lives for whatever purpose, and then just like that, they can take you out of it via a fake death, and move you to your next mission. I believe that stuff exists. I believe those things exist. I do. And I had heard about these things before. Man, I've seen some stuff with other folks, and I'm like, we've been fed a lie about this world, bro. And I think where a lot of us get lost is that we think, oh, those are only the bad people, or that only applies to the people we don't like, or the people we didn't know that well, or the people in the past. Not recently, not modern times, especially somebody that I like, let alone somebody that led me to Jesus. And Charlie knew the Bible well. Like, it was impressive how he'd quote scriptures and stuff based on what somebody would present to him. And he'd have these theological discussions. Charlie was unusually brilliant. Yes, we have smart people, and it doesn't mean that you're not human to be super smart. But I'm saying that's just something else taken into consideration. I don't think people understand how brilliant the guy was. How well read, how well educated he was. I think people knew he was smart, but I don't know. Boom, thank you. Thank you, William, for the $2. Your brain is so on an advanced level above most. Well, I wouldn't say that, man, but I do appreciate the compliment, brother. And I appreciate you for supporting. Lighten in Creations, thank you for the $5. Remember Mikey shaking his hand no to DF just before the Big Bang. I think DF asked if he was ready. DF. Are you talking about Terrell Farnsworth? Terrell? Or is there a different DF you're referring to? Thank you for the $5. Jordan Henshaw recreated What Happened Under Charlie's Church. Please check it out. I've checked it out several times, and I think it's very compelling. Thank you for mentioning that. Like, when I mentioned the shirt thing, this is actually a great opportunity. This goes to Jesse's point. Jesse on Fire's point. It can be a bit frustrating and a bit distasteful in some ways sometimes that people can see this and they never entertain the possibility, outside of all the other reasons we gave, that it's something else going on under his shirt. His shirt did something weird. Like, they even discussed that in the Andrew Wilson Joe Rogan episode, and they just chalked it up to bullets do weird things. Bro, a freaking Green Beret came out and said, your shirt don't do that if you get hit in the neck. Why is your shirt doing all of this? But a better question with these other people that are covering it respectfully, and I do mean this respectfully, why are we not entertaining the possibility of something else going on? You know? That's all. That's a bit concerning. And if you haven't seen Jordan Henshaw recreated, it's like, dude, it looks freaking... Let me see if I can pull it up just real fast. Jordan Henshaw. Let's see. Okay, I'm not able to pull it up here in real time, but maybe I'll remember to link it in the description below. But definitely, I agree. Definitely agree. Shout out to Gina for the $50. Thank you, Gina. As usual, great show, Didi. I know you think I spend too much money. I was just thinking, like, all right, Gina, slow down. especially with some of the stuff you told me. Slow down, take care of yourself. I know you think I spend too much money commenting with super chats, but you deserve it. Besides, I can't take it with me. I trust you will use it wisely. Keep up the great work and stay safe. Much love and much prayers for all of us always. Yeah, I'm extremely prudent, y'all, just so you know. I'm saving up, as you know, for a wedding that's happening here pretty soon, but also I'm saving up for a house. You know, I'm 32 and I'm ready to start a family, man. So I got to save every bit that I get. So yeah, I'm not a materialistic person anyway. So yeah, I don't want you to be giving me all your money, Gina. But whenever you choose to do so, I'm extremely grateful. I think you give more than anybody else on the channel. So I'm super grateful as always. Appreciate you. Savannah, Barbie, if I got that correct, thank you for the $5. Right on, Didi, excellent work. Well, thank you, I appreciate that. Shout out to Gina for the $5. They use Jesus in the Bible to hide behind as they drag more souls down instead. I was thinking that too, like other people have said this before, but like the new grift, if you will, or the new propaganda is being pushed through masquerading as Christians. Right? So yes, I definitely agree. Kim Share, thank you for the $20. Look into Fort Huachuca, allegedly counterintelligence training how to be Christian. Oh yeah, I'm familiar. I think Candace shared that, right? Months ago. This seems like a complete psyop. Bad actors acting badly. Well said. Well said. Like the person that started the gym, and then the person that sort of what's the freaking word? Sabotage. That's the word. It would have killed me if I didn't think of that word. Sabotaged their Christian gym that they started. Yeah, I'm familiar. Thank you for the $1, Derek. Thank you for the $2, Derek. They have to tell you the truth to avoid karma. That is true. That's a part of their religion. That's a part of their religion. And we've talked about that before. They have to tell you, because the way it works is if they tell you the truth, then that means you're consenting to anything that comes after that. But if they didn't tell you, karma will come back to them. That's what they believe. Very well said. Rose Trail, thank you for the $5. Angel Studios is Mormon founded and operated. Okay, Charlie promoted their films on his show. Everything is a production. Yes, early on in the investigation, you're right. I remember this. I haven't man, you forget more things than you remember in this case, bro. Weird. Just really weird. His infatuation or like support of Mormon is weird. That's weird. Thank you. Witness this 1,000. Thank you for the $10. All right, man. Peace. Hey, they don't understand. All right, man. Peace. So, brothers, and it's always like that. All right, man. Peace. So, brothers, so what they're talking about, I know I'm ranting here. The guy Chronicles of Judah, which I'm telling you, one of the best creators ever to ever grace YouTube. I don't care about subscriber count, nothing. He was different. He is different. I don't place no human on a pedestal. So that's not what I'm doing here with him. I'm just giving a brother his credit. That brother is incredible. The versatility of his channel, mind-blowing. He's giving relationship advice. He's breaking down scriptures. He'll do entire videos just responding to people's comments, and they asking him, a plethora of different deep questions, and he's answering them on the spot. Breakdowns on sports figures from a 1, 2, and 3-dimensional perspective. What do I mean by that? He'll break it down just like who his favorite players are, what player is better than that player, the history of the NBA, the history of how the sport has evolved. Or he'll give you the occultic breakdown of the NBA, the players, what they do, the rituals they partake in, and he goes extensively. He'll give you 3-4 hour breakdowns. Then he goes to the civil rights. Then he goes to wars. And I'm like, it's so dense. Like, his stuff is so layered that you just think like, you're not telling the truth or you got this wrong. I will research while watching this brother's videos, and I'm like, oh my gosh, he got all of it right. Like, dude, incredible. He'll do reactions to television shows about dating, and he'll give you the insight on how modern day feminism has ruined things and the problem with the so-called black man and how we need to be better. He was one of the first ones as well that changed my perspective on quote unquote racism. What do I mean? Racism exists, and sure, there are racist white people in powerful positions, but whenever somebody is to have a ruling class, they get to set the rules. We have the right to not like it, but they conquered whoever came before them, because there was a time when so-called black individuals were the ruling class. That's just a fact. In every continent on the planet. Times have shifted, and now there's a new ruling class. Get in line. If you don't like it, conquer them. Right? Beat them out. If you don't, then you have to follow other people's rules. When I heard him put it like that, I'm like, number one, it wasn't a victim mentality. He was teaching people, build your own. If you don't like what they're doing, stop complaining and build your own then. You go and work for somebody else, live in somebody else's country, live in somebody else's town, and then complain about how they're wanting to run their own society. Yeah, we can complain, but you also need to be working on building your own. Two things can be true at the same time. I needed to hear that. If I had a father, I'd imagine my father would have taught me that at a young age. Instead, I had to hear it through a YouTuber for the first time. And because he was already so well respected based on this other content, I needed to hear it. He was like a big brother I never had. So yeah. All right, man. Peace. Brother, I knew you were a CGO viewer when first started watching your content. COJ taught me a lot. I agree. You are intelligent, bro. It makes sense. We still are acting in Patreon. Thousands of comments. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm one of them. Shout out to you, bro. That's crazy. I miss him, bro. I hope that he comes back here pretty soon. Boom. Thank you. All righty. All right, I'm gonna read like maybe 4 or 5 regular comments, and then I'm gonna get up out of here. I don't want to make it too long. The video is about 2.5 hours, which is what I said I thought it would be. So that's pretty dope. All righty. What y'all in here talking about? You're such a sweet woman, Gina. God bless you abundantly. I agree. Dan Flood. Okay, Dan Flood. Okay, I understand now. So you saying Mikey McCoy looked at Dan Flood? And I think I covered that at one point. Is he still on YouTube? No, he's not. He got off years ago. If you're talking about COJ, he got off years ago. I agree. If sin is in your life, you're opening the door for Satan to access your mind. Amen. I agree. I need to hear more about this theory. Thanks, Didi, for reviewing things. Just starting to watch. Oh, absolutely. I hope you like it. Just let me know what you think. Just search Chronicles of Judah. That channel is gonna blow your mind. and you never see his face. None of us know what the guy looks like, but you don't need to. It's incredible, and he does like so many different things. So his videos are not like everybody else's videos. And what I mean is, it's like if you clicked on my video and my video is about the civil rights movement, I'm going to start talking about the civil rights movement and you'll see the images on the screen. What Chronicles of Judah would do is he'll react. He'll screen record a segment from CBS Morning News talking about Jesse Jackson or Martin Luther King or Rosa Parks or something. And he's going to listen to what they say, and then he's going to tell you what he agrees with and what they're lying about. And then he's going to give you a full breakdown. The segment itself will probably be 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes long. But his YouTube video reacting to it will probably be 45 minutes. And it's 45 minutes of straight substance. You want to, there's no way you're just spewing this off the top of your mind. And you can tell that he's going off the top of the dome. Some of it he may have written down in front of him, but a lot of it you can tell he's just reading off of memory. And every now and again, he'll say, all right, brothers, I may have gotten that wrong. If I remember this correctly, it was called such and such, such and such. This was the organization that they came up under, and they were Marxists. And they were teaching them to do X, Y, and Z. And he'll break it down, and then you'll be like, is that real? And then you'll look it up, and it might take you a little bit because simple Google searches don't always pull the results. When you start doing a deep dive, it might take you like, and I shouldn't say deep dive, like 2 or 3 minutes, clicking on certain websites and corroborating to see if it's true. If you can find it multiple different places, you're like, Not only did he get it right, he got every bit of the details right about the organization off memory. I'm like, dog, this is the greatest YouTuber I've ever seen before, dog. It's incredible. He's incredible. Teaching you just how to be more responsible as a man, as an adult, how to navigate the space, how not to be a victim. Stay off the weed. Breakdowns on marijuana. I aspire to be that well-versed in topics someday. I'm slowly working my way there by the grace of the Most High. For sure. By the way, he's one of the reasons why I say allegedly the way I say it. Literally. Diddy, my life changed when I finally realized things could be two things. Yes, two things can be true at the same time. Absolutely. When they give you these false dichotomies, it's like, or something else can be true and something else can be true at the same time. Now, with that said, so that we're on the same page, there is no such thing as your own truth. I saw somebody that, I'm not going to say who, but I respect their content. They emailed me the other day and said something about your truth. And I remembered. And I was like, you don't get your own truth. I didn't say that to him, but I was like, you don't get your own truth. We don't get our own truth. I don't care how much we like and appreciate and support each other. You don't get your own truth. Please try to be careful with that language, because that's coddling language. That's language that's meant to, everybody can feel included. Everybody's right. Nobody's never wrong, right? We don't ever step on each other's toes. You can be right and I can be right too. But what they really mean by that is, if I say it's raining outside and we're in the same house, we're not talking about two different sides of town, so maybe it's not raining on that side of town. If I say it's raining outside of my house, you're standing next to me and you say it's not raining outside the house, we're not, but one of us is wrong. But what they try to tell you is, nope, both of us is right, and that's okay. No, we're not. So let's make sure we make that distinction. LDS is in the middle of all this. Nick Shirley commented that dude, the first on site in Spain, Cuba, Panama, Minnesota, he's not taking take lucky or good. Well, he's also the last person that they interviewed. I don't know if y'all know this on the Charlie Kirk show, or the first person they interviewed after Charlie was allegedly taken out, or the last person that they interviewed right before. Look it up, Nick Shirley. And now he's trending all over the place. He's infiltrating all of these gangs around the world in the country. Yeah, okay. Nobody believes you, bro. Shout out to you. Thank you for the $5. Casket and Hearst clip. I just noticed they didn't have to lift very hard to get it in the car. Very good point. 4 guys couldn't lift Charlie plus casket that easily. Very, very good point. Very good point. Very good point. As you had Mikey McCoy in the background, let's look at that together, because that's actually a very good point that I think it could easily go unnoticed by people, because they know, and by they I just mean people who are forcing these events on us. They know if you give people a predetermined idea of what happened, then it's going to warp the way they watch a video when they watch it. If that makes sense. They're going to force people to. Look at this.
Okay, so what we'll do is once you get all that over here.
Yeah, they looked at pretty easy. One could be argued with 4 men that it may not be that heavy, but just as a reminder, because I've done it before, and I'm sure some of you have already done it as well, especially you men in particular, caskets themselves are very heavy, especially the nicer ones. And I've lifted some nice ones. And it's like 6 of us. Right? And I would imagine that Charlie would be buried in a really nice casket. I think they'd put him down to rest pretty easy, I would believe. And I would think it would take a little bit more strength than that. So very good point. We'll never see what they were doing behind the table after he falls. We'll never see it. We'll never see it. We can only speculate, which is exactly what this entire video was. Nothing I said was facts. Everything is alleged. But I have my speculations. All right. One more comment. I'm going to get up out of here. Maybe I'll read a few more. Somebody said believing Candace is an exception is crazy. Baron Coleman covered the timeline for the autopsy and stuff. He even did an interview just days ago with a professional. Okay. What was the outcome? What conclusion did they rest upon? I wasn't familiar. Stay off the weed. Eat veggies and get B12, B6, MG. Yeah. All right. You have the right to believe that. I'm not upset with you. Explain everybody's behavior, buddy. Explain his personal assistant's behavior. Explain Mikey McCoy's behavior. How about Terrell Farnsworth? All these people that supposedly knew Charlie, was close to Charlie, all of them just easily went along with the narrative and just, yeah, okay. It looks like a different casket than the Erica Kirk video. Here, we can test it out. I thought they looked similar, but let's test it out real fast. So we got that. I think it's the same, but maybe not.
I love you. I love you. I know. I love you.
Mic'd up on the casket is crazy. Once again, what are you trying to convince us of here?
I love you. God bless you.
I think the same color. I know we didn't get the full. We didn't get the beginning part. Okay, there it is. Ooh. That look kind of dark. I think Gina might be right. Is this the same casket? One could argue it's the lighting, but that looks really dark. Huh, that's actually a good point, Gina. Here, let's do a side. I'm going to do a side by side. Right here, right now, in real time. Let's do a side by side. One second. Ooh. Hold on one sec. Let's if y'all give me like 30 seconds, I think I'll have this a side by side ready for y'all. And y'all can come to the same conclusion. Maybe it's the same casket and it's just a lighting issue, because the design looks the same. But the colors, yeah, it's different. Let's see here. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. There's that. Now, let's get the other one. Let's get this exported over, and we're gonna see if you all believe this is the same casket. Okay. Now I'm going to add it over. How we feeling about this? How we feeling about this chat? Now I can see the designs here in the bottom of the, definitely the same designs. All right, seem to be the same design casket. Actually, I don't know because, all right, so she's on the end where Charlie's head is, right? Maybe I'm wrong about this, but it appears that that's either the shorter end or at the very least it's 50-50 as far as the length of the casket. It's either a shorter end so that it can just be open to view the top of the body, or it's 50-50 as far as the length of the casket. But when you look over here, well, before we go to the one on the right, look at the one on the left that's darker. The handles on that casket are on the other end. And just from the angle of this photo, and maybe it's just the angle, it appears that, or the handles or the hinges on the casket, if you will, and on the bottom side of the casket are on the longer end of the casket. But on the right, it looks like it's on the other side of the casket. I don't know. Somebody said, look at the screen. What do you mean, look at the screen? I don't know what that means. How we feeling about this, chat? Oh, wait, hold up. Are y'all saying, hold on. Are y'all saying y'all couldn't see it? Oh, I'm so sorry, y'all. I apologize. How about now? My bad, y'all. It doesn't show that on my end. Can y'all see it now? What? I'm so confused. All right, hold on. Do you all see me? Okay, so let's do this again. I'll do it this way. That's so strange. I apologize, y'all. Can y'all see it now? What? Okay, that's okay. Hold on. That doesn't make any sense. What in the world? Y'all can't see this photo. I'm so confused. Okay, so now y'all can see it. That is so strange, bro. What in the world? Look, somebody said leave it alone. So from my end, whatever was popping up for you all wasn't popping up for me. But okay, there's the photos. One could argue that it's the lightings. I don't know if the lighting would make it look that much darker though. I mean, I almost look like two different colors. I'm just trying to give the benefit of the doubt. But yes, I'm with Gina. I don't think these are the same caskets. And what I was saying earlier was that it just appears that maybe the handles are on the hinges of the casket, maybe on opposite ends. I don't know. The design looks the same, but the color looks completely different. So some of y'all are saying lighting, simply the lighting. Okay. Somebody said two different types of wood. I'm not an expert in that space. I'm not sure. Okay, so y'all feel different about it. Somebody said it's not the same. That color variation is kind of strange. I don't know if the lighting is that different in the rooms. Like, that looks like a completely different type of brown. Something to consider, though. Definitely something to consider. Somebody said it could be filters. No, I understand why you might say that, but like, they would look different then. You know what I'm saying? Like, the filters would change how they appear. Skin, clothes, wall, chairs, lights, wall, floor, hair. If the filter on the one on the left was completely darker or made the casket darker, Erica's hair should be darker. It looks pretty blonde to me. Somebody said look at the ridges around the handles. They look different to me. That's very interesting. What's even more interesting is how they wouldn't allow me to show this photo. That was very strange. Yeah, buddy. I'm gonna let y'all have fun with that one, man. Y'all can have fun with that one because that's very interesting right here. Big time. I took the chat down so that y'all can screenshot it if y'all need to. So I just put the chat back up, but thank you for the $2. All right, y'all. I'm gonna get up out of here, man. Let me do this the right way. All right, y'all, man. I love y'all, man. Pray for everybody mentioned in this video, and I do mean everybody. I'm gonna go ahead and log up out of here. I'm gonna catch y'all in the next one. I'm Demetrius. Please hit the like button. Hitting the like button goes a long way. If you want to support the merch, link is in the description to the merch store. We have some really cool designs currently there and on the way. Also, if you want to have access to other extended videos on a plethora of different topics that you cannot find on YouTube, you can do so on the Patreon, which is in the description as well. I've also linked in the description to the videos that are referenced in today's live. I'm Demetrius. I'll go by Didi. I'm going to catch you on the next one. Peace.
Oh, yeah. Didi got a podcast.
Attitudes and our work ethic become very important in realizing our goals and opening up possibilities. I had lunch a couple of weeks ago with a recent graduate of UCA. And his story is really fascinating. It's one of overcoming homelessness during his time pursuing his degree, first at a community college here in Arkansas, and then finishing his bachelor's degree here at UCA. His narrative ranges from estrangement from family for many years to a hopeful reunion with mother and siblings. His record is one of overcoming odds in a way that I probably could not, and certainly demonstrating levels of tenacity and patience and optimism that I can only marvel at. He wanted to talk with me about his new job and his career path going forward. I really need to be there to learn from him because that's where the real value was.
Everything I say in this video is alleged. Allegedly. No such thing as a life that's better than yours. Y'all can just repeat after me. I really appreciate it. Alright? No such thing. Come on, we can do better than that. Talk to me. Talk to me. Alright, let's start going. No such thing as a life that's better than yours. You're worse than the rich white people or the rich white Jews that own these record labels, because they don't even understand these populations. You have a lot closer relationship to these people, and you're leading them to hellfire. You are leading them in the wrong direction in the name of getting rich and famous. How dare you? Oh yeah, Didi got a podcast.